Kindly settle down. We are starting now. Kindly settle down. We are starting right away. Can we please stand for the national anthem? Extreme, please. The national anthem.
Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. Though tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigerians all and proud to serve our sovereign motherland. Our flag shall be a symbol that truth and justice reign, in peace or battle honored, and this we count as gain. To hand unto our children a banner without stain. O God of all creation, grant this our one request. Help us to build a nation where no man is oppressed. And so with peace and plenty, Nigeria may be blessed.
We'll be taking the NBA prayer by the Secretary of the TSA branch. Thank you.
Shall we pray? Almighty God, our Creator, we pray you to be with us in all our deliberations and to direct our endeavors, so that we shall continue in all humility to glorify thy name, and do that which is right and just for our profession, its members, our fellow men, and our country. Amen.
Kindly sit down. Thank you. Good morning, Chairman of NBA Lagos State branches and ESCO members, learned senior advocates of Nigeria, distinguished seniors, and esteemed colleagues. On behalf of the NBA Lagos State Joint Remuneration Committee, we welcome you to today's Townhall Meeting. My name is Keynote Speaker. I'm the MC of this event, and with me is
Lukman Jayola.
We'll call on the chairman of the NBA Ikeja branch to give his welcome address, Mr. Denny Quadri, to give his welcome address. Thank you very much, Chairman.
The chairman of NBA branches in Lagos here present, distinguished senior advocates of Nigeria, respected seniors, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. It is my honor and privilege to welcome you all to this important town meeting convened by the NBA Lagos State branches and the Joint Remuneration Committee of all the branches in Lagos State. This gathering is not just another item on our professional calendar. It is a crucial step in confronting one of the most persistent challenges affecting the welfare, dignity, and sustainability of legal practice in our state, the enforcement of the Legal Practitioners Remuneration Order. The theme for today, enforcement of the Legal Practitioners Remuneration Order, charting a unified compliance framework for Lagos State, speaks directly to our shared responsibility as a profession. While the Remuneration Order outlines the minimum standards for payment of legal fees, its true value depends on our collective resolve to ensure compliance by lawyers, law firms, clients, public institutions, and private entities alike. Today's session provides us the opportunity to interrogate the gaps, share practical experiences. We're talking about a situation where non-lawyers employ lawyers in their companies and charge legal fees that don't go to those lawyers, but they pay the lawyer salary. It is very rampant. We're also talking about a situation where our own colleagues get the stamp from NBA and make it available to officials of land registry for a ridiculous amount. So how do we, these are some of the sharp practices that we have found out is applicable as we speak. So we need to work towards a harmonized enforcement model that protects both the profession and the public it serves. It's only through such unified engagement that we can entrench a culture where the labor of lawyers is duly recognized and fairly compensated. I must commend the chairman of Lagos State branches of the NBA and the Joint Remuneration Committee for their innovation in unveiling the new mandatory digital portal for payments to lawyers within Lagos State. This is a transformative step towards transparency, structure, enforceability, and accountability. It signals that the NBA in Lagos State is ready to deploy technology not only for convenience, but to uphold standards and protect the livelihoods of our members. Distinguished senior advocates, dear seniors and colleagues, attendance at this meeting has been made mandatory for Lagos State lawyers. I'm sure that by the time as we proceed, more lawyers will come in. I presume that some of our colleagues are in court right now. Issues of remuneration cut across all cadres of the profession, from young lawyers finding their footing to mid-level practitioners growing their practice to senior lawyers managing complex engagements. Our various expenses will enrich today's dialogue and encourage everyone to participate. We remain fully committed as chairmen to the welfare of our members and to building the legal environment that respects the sanctity of the legal profession. I'm confident that the insights from today's discussion will guard the emergence of a clear, enforceable, transparent, and sustainable framework that will serve as a model for the Nigerian Bar Association nationwide. On this note, I once again welcome you all and wish us a fruitful and impactful celebration. Thank you all and God bless the NBA.
Thank you, Chairman, for that beautiful welcome address. Permit me to introduce our keynote speaker for today, in person of Mr. Oluseun Abimbola, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. On the list of our faculty members for today, we have Mrs. Folashade Alli, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. Please, we can do better with our clappings. We can do better, please. Also, on the list of the faculty, we have Mr. Yemi Akongbe, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. I have the singular honor to introduce the presence of Aare Olumuyiwa Akinboro, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, as one of our faculty members. Also on our list of faculty members for today's event is Mr. Olusegun Fabunmi, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. Also on our list is the presence of Mr. Babajide Vincent Ojo. Please let us keep on clapping, keep on clapping, keep on clapping. We can do better, please. I have the singular honor to announce the presence of the Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Lagos State, ably represented by Mr. Olamide Ibrahim. Olamide Ibrahim, excuse me. You are most welcome, sir. In due course, we will also introduce other guests present. Okay, we also have the presence of the President of the Nigerian Bar Association, ably represented by Mrs. Bola Tito Animashaun. This Bola Tumi Animashaun, excuse me, Second Vice President, Nigerian Bar Association.
Thank you very much. May I call on Mr. Chinedu Ifezue to give his opening remarks. He's standing in for Chief Emeka Obegolo SN, who is the Chairman National Remuneration Committee. Mr. Chinedu, please. A round of applause for him.
It is not my opening remarks. It is the remarks written by Chief Emeka Obegolu, who is the chairman of the Remuneration Committee of MBA. So in delivering this speech that he wrote himself, I wish to adopt the protocol already established by the chairman of the branch. And this is his speech. It is with immense pleasure and a profound sense of purpose that I welcome you all to this crucial town hall meeting. This gathering focuses on the sensitization and implementation of lawyers' remuneration for our vibrant Lagos State branches. It marks a pivotal moment in our progress towards the well-being of members of the legal profession. The Legal Practitioners' Remuneration Order is not merely a document. It's a social contract between the bar and the public, an internal commitment to the dignity, welfare, and economic stability of every lawyer. For so long, the narrative surrounding lawyers' professional fees has been fraught with ambiguity, leading to the unfortunate prevalence of underbilling, unfair competition, and gradual erosion of the value of our professional services. The MBA Remuneration Committee was tasked with the sensitization of the lawyers and stakeholders on the mandatory provisions of the Remuneration Order and developing a compliance and enforcement framework that is both seamless and actionable. We believe the order supports the work of our committee by establishing a clear, transparent, and enforceable minimum standards for legal services across various practice areas. This implementation is a shared responsibility. Sensitization is key, and today's town hall meeting is designed to demystify the order and showcase the tools designed to make compliance seamless. I want to place on record the gratitude of the Remuneration Committee to all the branches of the Nigerian Bar Association in Lagos State for coming together to develop a joint sensitization and enforcement action plan. I've gone through the proposed guidelines, and I'm convinced that the outcome of today's town hall meeting will serve a model of enforcement mechanism for other states to adopt. Let us therefore use the next few hours not just to listen, but to engage actively. Ask the tough questions, share your concerns, and collectively forge a clear path for effective implementation. The success of this order is the success of the legal profession. It is a testament to our commitment to upholding the highest standards of our noble profession. Thank you for your attendance and your dedication to elevating the economic and well-being of the Nigerian lawyer. Let us embrace this new chapter with enthusiasm and a definite resolve. Thank you for listening. Chief Emeka Obegolo SN. I think I've discharged my duty. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chinedu. I humbly recognize the presence of Mrs. Toyin Basharon, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. A round of applause, please. I also recognize the presence of Mr. Paul Kazim, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. We especially recognize the presence of those joining via Zoom, YouTube, and Facebook. We also especially recognize the presence of other senior advocates and seniors present here with us. We will be going straight to the goodwill message of the AG of Lagos State, Mr. Lawal Pedro, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, ably represented by Mr. Olamide Ibrahim. Mr. Olamide Ibrahim, please. A round of applause. Thank you.
The President of the Nigerian Bar Association, Mazi Afamusigwe, ably represented here today by Mrs. Bola Timi Animashaun, Chairman of the branches of the Nigerian Bar Association in Lagos, members of the body of benchers here present, distinguished senior advocates of Nigeria here present, our keynote speaker for today, Mr. Oluseun Abimbola, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. As I have been introduced, I am here today to deliver the goodwill message of Mr. Lawal Pedro, SAN, the Honorable Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Lagos State. When the invitation for this Townhall meeting was received in the office of the Honorable Attorney General, contrary to his usual ways, he minuted on it, this is very important. And he minuted it to the Solicitor General and Permanent Secretary and copied me because I work in his office as Senior Special Assistant. And so, when we were reviewing activities for the week on Friday, it was indeed painful when we discovered that he would be in Abuja, and he actually asked me to convey his personal pain for being unable to be with us here today. But he sent a goodwill message, which, with the kind permission of everyone present here today, I will proceed to read. I am pleased to convey my goodwill to the leadership and members of the Nigerian Bar Association across the Lagos State branches on the occasion of this important town hall meeting, conveyed to discuss the implementation of the Legal Practitioners Remuneration Order and the introduction of the MBA Remuneration Portal. This initiative reflects a collective resolve within the profession to engage constructively with contemporary regulatory developments that directly affect legal practice. It is only through open dialogue, shared learning, and collegial engagement that sustainable reforms within the legal profession can be achieved. I therefore commend the Nigerian Bar Association for providing this platform for reflection, clarification, and practical guidance to its members. The idea behind the remuneration order is without a doubt a brilliant and progressive one. The welfare of legal practitioners remains central to the advancement of justice delivery, a profession that is entrusted with the sacred responsibility of defending rights, promoting the rule of law, and upholding justice must also ensure that its members are fairly and transparently remunerated for their labor. Fair remuneration strengthens professional independence. It safeguards dignity of practice and enhances the overall integrity of the justice system. At the same time, it is important that the implementation of any regulatory framework, including the Legal Practitioners Remuneration Order, however well-intentioned, does not inadvertently infringe the rights of the same stakeholders it seeks to protect. It is in this regard that continuous engagement, critical assessment, and constructive feedback become essential. Stakeholders must therefore engage the process thoughtfully and critically, with a view to achieving a system that is fair, workable, and constitutionally compliant. The strength of the legal profession has always rested on its commitment to self-regulation, professional responsibility, and ethical conduct. Lawyers, as ministers in the Temple of Justice, bear a continuous obligation to act with transparency, accountability, and fidelity to the law. Where reporting obligations arise, the most enduring standard is one founded on voluntary compliance, professional honor, and adherence to due process, rather than heavy monitoring or compelling mechanisms. In the pursuit of effective implementation, all stakeholders must remain guided by the enduring values of mutual trust, professional autonomy, and respect for established legal and constitutional principles. Regulatory frameworks thrive best when they encourage cooperation, promote ethical conduct, and strengthen public confidence in the legal profession. The Lagos Ministry of Justice remains a committed partner in all efforts aimed at strengthening the administration of justice, enhancing professional standards, and promoting an environment where legal practitioners can thrive with dignity, independence, and responsibility. I once again commend the Nigerian Bar Association for this forward-looking engagement and wish the Townhall Meeting fruitful deliberations and practical outcomes that will serve the best interest of the profession and the larger society. Thank you, and God bless. Mr. Lawal Pedro, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Honorable Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Lagos State. Thank you.
Thank you for the thank you for the beautiful goodwill message. Now we have gotten to the main deal for today. So many things have been said about the remuneration order from across quarters. I have the singular honor to invite Mr. Oluseun Abimbola, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, to give his keynote address and to kickstart the discussion for today's business. Okay, I'm sorry about that. So I'm going to hand over now to the chairman of today's occasion for our comments before we move into the keynote address section. She's the faculty chair. Okay, yeah. Oh, sorry about that.
Okay, I'm not aware. Anyway, good afternoon, everyone, and good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm quite sure you're all excited to be here. I am. Good afternoon to first of all, to all the 7 branch chairmen of Lagos. I really commend you for the efforts you've put together to call this town hall meeting, which is a sensitization of the remuneration order. It's commendable for 2 reasons. We all know why we're here, is to see how the remuneration order is going to work. Guidelines that have been set says every branch should come up with their model. And what has happened in other states that branches are doing it everywhere, in piecemeal. I know Warri is different from Gailey. So that the 7 branches have come together, I think we should give them a round of applause. It's extremely important that we have a uniformed way of implementing the remuneration order. So I thank you all for that initiative. At the end of the day, it's to do with the practice of our profession. It's transformative. The idea behind the remuneration order, we all know, is to ensure that, undercharging, uniform way of remuneration, because people complain that some are being left out. We all understand the rationale behind it. I think the concern is very grave and is germane. One, we all don't understand how, as far as I'm concerned, I was only called to one Nigerian bar. I don't think we have 36 or 100 bar. So why should we not have a uniformed way of implementing the order? There's only one order. Why is every branch being told to come up with their model? It doesn't make sense to me, and I think that's why we're here. I'm already preempting what our keynote speaker would say, but at the end of the day, we're all here because we want to have a uniformed way of implementing this order. I've spoken in a lot of branches about what the remuneration order is, and I think the first question to everyone here is that, have you read the remuneration order? The legal practitioner's remuneration order for business legal services. Have we read it? Because if we haven't read it, we cannot discuss. There are only 15 sections, 14 rules. It's extremely simple. It takes you less than 15 minutes to read. However, there's so many loopholes in the implementation. And I can't wait to listen to the keynote speaker so that we can all discuss, come up with a formula that works. Breach of confidentiality for me is extremely important. Breach of data protection. Why should I reveal the name of my client to MBA? Is MBA a lawyer? As far as I'm concerned, the rules of professional conduct are also clear. And it says specifically that lawyers cannot share their fees with a non-lawyer. I didn't understand that MBA is now a lawyer. So I just thought I should through all this. I'm supposed to give just a welcome address to everyone and to, I think, steer the conversations very soon. But I think before we do that, I'd like to call on my only chair, the former chair of the section, MBA, Nigerian Bar Association section on legal practice, Mr. Oluseun, Abimbola, what did you say? So that he can steer the conversation. I think mine is just to welcome you all, to commend everyone for coming, and to say that please do not shy from asking questions. The reason we're here is to critique, so that later on we're not complaining that, oh, our voices were not heard. I don't want anybody complaining later, because whatever we say here will be taken, and I'm glad that we have people from MBA here. I've got my vice president here to take our comments back, and so that all this can be put together. We all want the remuneration order. What we do not want, as far as I'm concerned, is piecemeal everywhere. We want a uniformed way of implementing, and that must be done. And I have a confidential duty to my clients, and that must not be breached by any order that's being implemented. Thank you all, and we look forward to a robust conversation this afternoon.
Thank you. Permit me to invite to the podium Mr. Olaruwaju Obadino, the chairman, Etiosa MBA, to take the citation of our keynote speaker.
Good morning, everyone. I am standing on the existing protocol, and my responsibility here is to take the brief citation of the keynote speaker for today's occasion. By name, Oluseun Abimbola, SAN. He's a fellow chartered of Institute of Arbitration. Oluseun Abimbola is a partner at Prime Solicitors Ibadan, Nigeria, a full commercial law firm where he heads the firm's dispute resolution practice group. He is an experienced negotiator, arbitrator, and mediator, accredited by the Center for Effective Dispute Resolution, CEDR, UK, since 2004, and a fellow of the Nigeria Institute of Chartered Arbitrators. He sits as a member of the panel of neutrals of the Lagos and Oyo multi-door courthouse in Nigeria. Oluseun Abimbola San obtained a Bachelor's of Law, LLB, and Master's LLM degree from Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, in 1992 and 2001, respectively. Great Ife. Respect. He has since been called to the Nigerian Bar in 1993, remained in active legal practice, specializing in commercial law, litigation, telecommunication law, and technology, intellectual property, and ADR. He was twice recognized as the global legal expert in Nigeria in the field of telecommunications, media, and technology law by the Who's Who Legal Registry of Global Lawyers. Mr. Oluseun Abimbola was the pioneer chairman of the Law Firm Management Committee of the Nigerian Bar Association in 2008. Chairman, Nigerian Bar Association Ibadan Branch, 2012 to 2014. A council member of the MBA section on legal practice from 2008 till 2023. And chairman of the MBA section on legal practice, SLP, from 2019 to 2021. He was 5-time secretary of the MBA Technical Committee on Conference Planning, TCCP, from 2008 to 2013, and chaired the TCCP of the MBA Annual Conference in 2014 for the Owerri Conference. He was chairman of the MBA Election Working Group in 2015 and 2016, and currently chairs the Electoral Committee of the Nigerian Bar Association, ECMBA. He is a member of the International Bar Association and has served on its various committees over the last 2 decades. He has also served on the various leadership and regulatory institutions of the legal profession in Nigeria, including as member of the Nigerian Bar Association National Executive Council, Council of Legal Education in Nigeria, the Legal Practitioner Disciplinary Committee, and currently serve as a member of the eminent body of benchers. Among other bar regulatory roles, Mr. Abimbola is a recipient of numerous awards and laurels in recognition of his leadership and distinction in the legal profession. He is a 4-time recipient of the MBA President's Award of Merit for his excellent contribution to the development of the legal profession and the bar in Nigeria. An award conferred on him by successive MBA administration in 2010, 2014, 2016, and 2023. He served as the Honorable. I think we should appreciate this great barman. He was conferred with the rank of he served as the Honorable Attorney General and Commissioner of Justice in Oyo State from June 2016 till May 29, 2019, and was conferred with the rank of Senior Advocate of Nigeria by the Legal Practitioner Privileges Committee in December 2020. Oluseun Abimbola San is married to Professor of Law Yemisi Abimbola and are blessed with children. I was wondering where the synergy come from, but now that I know that he's married to a professor of law, there is a combination to make that happen. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you today our keynote speaker, Mr. Olusegun Abimbola, SAN.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Let me first of all express my gratitude, and it's an honor for me to be invited to speak to our colleagues on the subjects that had been a part of from its inception to its codification. And I think, as earlier speakers have said, it is perhaps the singular transformative instrument that all of us as lawyers find ourselves having to deal with, not just as practitioners, but even in our practices as well. And I do not take this privilege for granted. The Honorable Attorney General of Lagos State, ably represented here, the President of the Nigerian Bar Association, ably represented by the second Vice President, Chairman of the Lagos branches of the NBA, the Chairman of the NBA Remuneration Committee, ably represented here, learned senior advocates of Nigeria, patrons of Lagos branches, executive members of the branches of Lagos State, distinguished panelists, distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. It's interesting when we start a conversation on the Legal Practitioners Remuneration Committee. Although today's conversation starts on the subject of the enforcement, but I think it's important for us to dial back a bit so that we can understand whether the parameters of enforcement that we're going to discuss and propose are all inclusive and cover the field of what the remuneration order itself covers. The history of the remuneration remuneration order dates back to the administration of Olumuyiwa as president, and the constitution of an initial committee that put together, that was a review committee of remuneration on remuneration generally. And they put together an almost 300-page dossier that periscoped remuneration of lawyers, both with respect to the wages earned by lawyers in law firms, and then the second part of it dealt with the issues of fees earned by lawyers with respect to our legal services. And it's always important to understand the dual role that the remuneration conversation started with. It's also important for us to put ourselves in the capacity of what we're actually contending for the good of all. I have had a number of conversations across branches, even in my branch, across different areas of concern and interest. But I think the more important part is for us to have a wholesale look at it and then be able to craft an implementation strategy. I'd like to especially welcome the Chief Magistrate, Yesire Balogun, DCR, representing the Chief Judge of Lagos State. Now, the Legal Practitioners Remuneration for Business, Legal Documentation, and Other Legal Services Order 2023 revoked the Legal Practitioners Remuneration for Legal Documentation and Other Land Matters Order of 1991. By that singular appellation, you can see that there is a remarkable difference between the Legal Practitioners Remuneration for Legal Documentation and Other Land Matters Order of 1991 and the current Legal Practitioners Remuneration for Business, Legal Documentation and Other Legal Services Order of 2023. The focus of the 1991 order was more on land transactions, property transactions, mortgage instruments, assignments, conveyances, and stuff like that, and almost left unattended other areas of interest. There was a passing comment with respect to legal services generally, but it was just a passing comment. But the current remuneration order is all inclusive, whether it's property or it's any other kind of legal service that is being offered. For many years, Nigerian lawyers, who are the ministers in the temple of justice, as we like to say, labored under conditions that had been diminished in nobility. The harsh realities of fee undercutting, exploitation, inadequate remuneration, devaluation of legal services, all plague the profession with a lot of opaqueness surrounding the issue of payment of legal fees. The result has been a growing crisis of identity where some lawyers in their struggle to survive have been forced to trade dignity and sanctity of their work for sustenance. These distortions do not only hurt lawyers, they erode public confidence in the bar, they weaken professional ethics, and compromise the quality of justice delivery. When the dignity of the advocate is reduced, the administration of justice suffers. And it was against this experience that the Legal Practitioners Remuneration Order was enacted pursuant to Section 15 of the Legal Practitioners Act, Cap L 11 LFN 2004. This provision specifically empowers the Attorney General of the Federation to prescribe minimum remuneration for legal practitioners across Nigeria, a power that has now been fully and boldly exercised for the first time in decades. Beyond its statutory basis, this order represents something much deeper, for it's a correction to years of systemic undervaluation. It seems to restore balance, reassert the dignity of labor, and reconnect the Nigerian bar to the ethos of professionalism that should define it. The Legal Practitioners Remuneration Order 2023 is a declaration that the legal profession is not a marketplace for underpriced intellect, but a sacred service deserving of fair reward. It simply seeks to put an end to the saying, and I quote, "Lawyers are a dime a dozen." Now the background, given a prelude on the background. It was from that 300-page report of the initial Remuneration Review Committee empaneled in 2021 that a white paper drafting committee was also empaneled by the same administration of Olumuyiwa to review the entirety of the report of the initial committee. I was privileged to have chaired the white paper committee that came up with the resolutions which were adopted by the NBA National Executive Council in 2022. Those recommendations basically became the foundational clauses that we now later built upon to draft the current remuneration order. When the NBA NEC approved the white paper recommendation, it approved recommendations on both the scale of fees as well as the scale of wages payable to lawyers. And so as we speak, what the NBA NEC approved was not just the remuneration order that we have now, but also approved a recommended scale of wages for lawyers, which most times we don't necessarily talk about. But we recognize the fact that employment being based on individual contracts between parties could not go ahead and codify that part of the approved NEC resolutions. But we realized that that had to be negotiated between employers and their employees. But it remains a recommendation and a resolution of NEC for us to carry through. It was only the issue of the scale of fees for legal services that was codified into the present remuneration order. Now, I've put this out there so that as we engage today on enforcement mechanisms for the remuneration order, perhaps we may consider sparing a thought also for the mechanisms for enforcement of the second leg of the adopted white paper on recommended wages for lawyers across our law firms. I should at this point commend the courage, the industry, and the meticulousness of past President YC Michael SAN, who succeeded Olusegun and reconstituted our white paper committee into a legislative drafting committee to midwife the adopted white paper into the current remuneration order, which became law on the 16th of May, 2023. So I'll just briefly say a few things about the remuneration order itself. The Legal Practitioners Remuneration Order of 2023 is a paradigm shift in many ways for legal practitioners. There are several novel clauses introduced into the operations of our practice engagements with clients. I have observed the hue and cry across many branches over the enforcement of the remuneration order, and it has largely focused on a major aspect of the provision of the legislation, and that is with respect to remuneration for property transactions, conveyances, mortgages, leases, and tenancies covered under Scale 4 of the order. Please note that the Legal Practitioners Remuneration Order of 2023 is not merely a regulation on fees for land transactions, but includes several other areas of coverage that equally require our concern for enforcement. The Remuneration Order is a revolutionary instrument to scale up the standard of our practice in many more ways, manage our client relationships better, provide some structure to our billings, and afford our clients some level of predictability with respect to fees at the end of the services rendered by the legal practitioner. The Remuneration Order is therefore not merely an instrument for better fee rates. By codifying what lawyers deserve, the order reminds the Nigerian society that justice itself cannot thrive when those who deliver it are undervalued. As we deliberate at this town hall meeting on enforcement, I will wish that our discussions are expanded to cover the entirety of what is to be enforced in the Remuneration Order, and not just make it a discussion on fees on property transactions. As we receive various proposals and ideas to aid the enforcement, I'm not oblivious of the comments and cautionary observations of a number of our colleagues on the mode of implementation many branches are adopting to enforce this part of the order. Nevertheless, it is platforms like this that gives the opportunity for a robust conversation by members to ensure that while we are curing one mischief, we do not create another. Issues of client confidentiality, privileged communication, and other extant ethical codes of our profession remain sacrosanct, yet we must navigate this minefield to arrive at an acceptable destination for implementation and enforcement. So what are the enforceable provisions of the Remuneration Order? It was part of our recommendation on the White Paper Review Committee, as well as on the Legislative Drafting Committee that I chaired both, that the NBA should drive a uniform structure of enforcing the Remuneration Order. This is codified in Section 11.4 of the Remuneration Order of 2023. And if you permit me, I would like to just read that section for the benefit of our conversation. Section 11.4 reads that the Nigerian Bar Association shall set guidelines to be followed by the Remuneration Committee in the performance of its functions under this order. The essence of putting this clause there was specifically to avoid a dichotomy of enforcement regimes across over 100 branches. And so it is heartwarming that Lagos State, rather than have 7 town hall meetings, are having one to unify the thoughts behind implementation, at least in Lagos State. Now, I've seen branches in some states have separate enforcement mechanisms in the course of the implementation. Many of us as legal practitioners work across multiple jurisdictions within Nigeria, either on transactions or litigation, thus exposing us to divergent implementation structures across jurisdictions where we practice or where we have offices. Without prejudice to the proactive steps being taken by the NBA Central Remuneration Committee, it is imperative that some sort of guidance notes are provided by the NBA to guide the implementation and enforcement steps by branches of this remuneration order and its various enforceable provisions. The provisions to be enforced go beyond remuneration for land transactions. These provisions to be enforced include, in my opinion, 1, the remuneration order provides a minimum scale for a wide coverage of legal services and anticipates emerging areas of practice not provided for in Scale 5. It further provides for parameters that go beyond the 1991 order to guide legal practitioners in computing legal fees for different services, whether they are transactions, advisory work, or litigation work. Therefore, as we seek enforcement mechanisms for property transactions, we may wish to consider enforcement means for these other kind of legal services as well. 2. Section 6.2 of the order allows legal practitioners to charge up to 10% interest on delayed payments of legal fees beyond 30 days of your demand. I believe your enforcement should also provide guidelines towards carrying this out. 3. Section 7 of the order introduces as a mandatory requirement for legal practitioners that at commencement of their client relationship, they should issue an engagement letter to the client setting out the scope of the work and the attendant fees. Should any legal practitioner have a fee dispute with his or her client, that engagement letter and response thereto will become the guide to resolving same either between the parties or in court. Hence the need to enforce the practice of using same by legal practitioners. So we should have enforcement that ensures that we issue engagement letters. 4. Many branches of the NBA are setting up their branch remuneration committees to implement this order. Such branch committees should therefore put in place the oversight structures on the full implementation of the order, including where a legal practitioner seeks leave to charge a fee lower than the recommended scale of charges in the order. This is provided in section 10 of the order. Yes, there are recommended scales in the order, but it also provides for reasons that may not even be able to determine now, whether reasons of consanguinity or affinity, you want to charge a lower fee. You will have to do a formal application to the branch remuneration committee and go through the means of establishing why. And they have an obligation to respond and approve or disapprove. These are all part of what enforcement should take care of as well. Number 5 are the whistleblowing provisions against persons who deviate from or breach the provisions of the order. And these are provided for also in section 11 of the order. There should be a structure that allows this to be effectively handled without necessarily exposing the whistleblower, and that will be very much welcome. So why enforcement? Ordinarily, any law in an egalitarian society, especially laws made applicable to lawyers who are presumably the noble circle of professionals, should by itself be self-implementing. If legal practitioners adhere to the ethics and ethos of the profession of which we are a part. However, experience has shown differently that lawyers are, as any other citizen, liable to seek shortcuts, even in respect of a legislation such as the Remuneration Order, which seeks to make life better for us all. So why do we need enforcement? Number 1, because of the era of fee undercutting and devaluation of the services of lawyers. Across the nation, especially in the last 2 decades or even more, a silent competition emerged, and it is a race to the bottom. Lawyers, particularly our younger colleagues, eager to survive in an overcrowded market, began accepting peanuts for legal services without regard to the parameters of determining the value provided for the service. Similarly, established lawyers, pressured by competition, have been forced to reduce fees to retain clients. Over time, legal fees became so depressed that some clients began to view lawyers as expendable service providers rather than custodians of knowledge and skill deployed to attain justice and facilitate transactions. It became common to hear clients saying things like, "Counsel, another lawyer said he will do it for half the price." And this did not only cheapen the value of the profession, but also created a culture of desperation where the pursuit of justice was sometimes overshadowed by the struggle for survival. Number 2 reason for enforcement: exploitation and poor working conditions. And this speaks specifically to the second part of the NEC resolution, and that deals with how much we pay our associates. Number 3, erosion of public confidence. As fees become inconsistent and professionalism appeared negotiable, unethical practices became more common as a means to survive the harsh economic climate, with the consequence of public confidence in lawyers beginning to wane. Clients started perceiving legal work as commodity transactions rather than a skilled service, and the respect traditionally associated with the bar began to fade. This erosion of trust has threatened the entire justice system because when the public stops trusting lawyers, they stop trusting justice itself. Number 4 reason for enforcement is the absence of a uniform fee framework. Without enforcement, there will be no uniformity to the framework around the order. Until the order itself was passed, there was no nationally enforceable structure prescribing minimum legal fees across board. Some states had attempted to create local guidelines. For example, a few Nigerian Bar Association branches previously sought to introduce indicative fee scales, but these efforts lacked national force and uniformity. The result was a chaotic land space, where what was fair in one state was seen as excessive in another, leading to inconsistency, confusion, and underpricing across jurisdictions. The 5th reason for enforcement is that it offers the legal foundation for reform. Thankfully, the drafters of the Legal Practitioners Act had foreseen this kind of crisis. And that's why under Section 15 of the Act, the Attorney General of the Federation is empowered to make orders prescribing the minimum remuneration of legal practitioners, and which powers lay dormant until 2023 when it was finally invoked to birth this new order. The 6th reason for enforcement is the commoditization of legal services. Many clients, particularly financial institutions, have adopted cost management structures that commoditize legal services. They prescribe fixed fees for all kinds of work given to external counsel without regard to the complexity of the work and other variables that distinguish every kind of work and service. The 7th reason is to ensure fair and adequate compensation for legal practitioners. For far too long, lawyers have been underpaid for services that require intense intellectual effort, time, and responsibility. The order corrects this imbalance by introducing minimum remuneration standards for various categories of work, from litigation to conveyancing, corporate services, and general legal documentation. This ensures that no lawyer, whether in Lagos or in Akure or in Enugu or in Sokoto or in Jalingo or in Calabar or Kano, no lawyer is forced to accept fees that demean the value of their work. By guaranteeing fair payment, the order preserves excellence within the profession and motivates practitioners to give their best at all times. 8, to promote transparency and professional accountability. Before the 2023 order, disputes between lawyers and clients over fees were frequent, often because there were no written terms of engagement. Clients complained of arbitrary billings by lawyers, shifting goalposts, while lawyers lamented failure to recover balances remaining unpaid. This new regime under the order mandates that every lawyer must issue written terms of engagement within 14 days of being instructed, detailing the scope of work to be done, agreed fees, and payment structure. This simple but powerful requirement holds the potential of building trust and transparency, ensuring both parties are on the same page from the start. It transforms fee discussions from awkward confrontations into professional agreements consistent with global best practices. Transparency, after all, is not just good ethics, it is good business. These, among other issues, signpost the need for an enforcement structure acceptable to all. Number 9, to strengthen ethical practice and professional discipline. By linking remuneration to professional conduct, the order reinforces the ethical backbone of the profession. Charging below the minimum fee is not just a financial violation. Under the order, it is a breach of professional conduct. It is a breach of professional ethics subject to disciplinary action before the Legal Practitioners Disciplinary Committee. This ensures compliance is not optional and that every lawyer, no matter how young or old, operates within a framework of integrity and responsibility. In the words of Albert Schweitzer, and I quote, "To give real service, you must add something which cannot be bought or measured with money, and that is sincerity and integrity." The remuneration order gives these words new life and meaning by ensuring that honor and fairness guide even the economic dimensions of legal practice. Number 10, to enhance quality service delivery and public confidence. Ultimately, fair pay leads to fair work. When lawyers are adequately compensated, they can afford to invest time, resources, and intellect into their matters, resulting in better advocacy, higher professionalism, improved client satisfaction. Moreover, clear billing structures and accountability mechanisms rebuild public trust because the public will begin to see lawyers as professionals bound by standards, not hustlers chasing survivor. This is why the order is not just a financial reform, it's a quality assurance framework, one that ensures that every brief handled, every document drafted, every case argued reflects the dignity of the Nigerian lawyer and the Nigerian bar. 11, to protect the future of the profession. Finally, and perhaps more importantly, the remuneration order safeguards the future generation of lawyers. Young lawyers will no longer be forced into the vicious cycle of accepting demeaning pay or unethical shortcuts just to survive. They can now look forward to a profession where effort is rewarded, dignity is preserved, and service is honored, just as the founding fathers of the bar envisioned. As popularly said, in every field of human endeavor, there are to be found three categories of people: those who make things happen, those who watch things happen, and those who wonder what has happened. The Legal Practitioners Remuneration Order is therefore a visionary document, not just about fees, but about fairness, structure, and renewed pride in the practice of law. It seeks to rebuild what years of neglect and undervaluation may have eroded. That is, the dignity, professionalism, and integrity of the Nigerian legal practitioner. It stands as both a shield and a mirror. A shield to protect lawyers from exploitation, but a mirror to remind the profession of its nobility and purpose. In conclusion, the Legal Practitioners Remuneration for Business, Legal Documentation, and Other Legal Services Order 2023 stands as more than an economic directive. It is in truth a watershed moment in the history of the profession. It does not merely set figures or scale of fees, it sets standards, a renewed vision for fairness, integrity, and professional dignity in the practice of law. With this order, the bar is being called back to honor, called back to ethics, called back to self-respect. It represents not just a financial reform, but a manifesto for ethical rebirth. It reminds every practitioner that justice, the sacred service we render, must not be cheapened. Only when all stakeholders, lawyers and clients, the Nigerian Bar Association, and regulatory institutions play their active roles will the full benefit of this monumental reform be realized. The Remuneration Order 2023 is therefore not the end of a reform, but the beginning of a new era. An era where fairness defines our fees, integrity defines our practice, and excellence defines our profession. Thank you for listening.
Another round of applause for our keynote speaker. Thank you very much for that brilliant keynote address. Really appreciate that. Truly, we cannot overemphasize the importance of enforcing the Legal Practitioners Remuneration Order. I welcome I acknowledge the presence of Mr. S.O.K. Shillings. He is actually one of the panelists. You may please come on board. Kindly sit on the other seats there. Thank you very much. A round of applause for him, please. I'm going to be calling on the chairman of Ikorodu to give a brief introductory note on the presentation of the remuneration portal. Please give a round of applause to the chairman of Ikorodu. Please, a round of applause for the chair of Ikorodu, Ms. Omomi Adiola. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The second Vice President, Mrs. Bolatumi Animation. the chairman of branches here present, our senior advocates of Nigeria here present, distinguished keynote speaker, Mr. Oluseun Abimbola SAN, and thank you, sir, for that very insightful and thought-provoking keynote address. Distinguished members of the faculty, representative of the Attorney General, ably represented by Mr. Olamide Ibrahim, representative of the Honorable Chief Judge of Lagos State, Chief Magistrate Yeside Balogun. You are very much welcome. Distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, I hope I didn't miss any protocol. I'm going to invite to the podium our technical partner from Cyclists. Please join me on board. So before they take that presentation, I just want to make a brief remark of how we got here so that we understand that we are working collaboratively, and in as much as we have been able to put something together, we acknowledge and recognize that this is still a work in progress. Sometimes in February this year, we decided to come together. We held a meeting as chairman of Lagos State branches, and the remuneration implementation was one of the agenda on board. And then we're going to meet with stakeholders, including the Office of the Honorable Attorney General. And since then, we've held several other meetings that led to branches coming together with a template that we can all work on. So as soon as we got a template, we decided to, hold a joint meeting again to look into the templates, understanding that we have our uniqueness as branches and their peculiarities. What is peculiar to my branch as a Ikorodu might not be the same with the Lagos branch. There's a very complex branch as it is, and also very full of elite lawyers who have actually gotten it right. And we also had some other insights from people like Badagry branch, and we needed to just come together to put something together that will help us to work together as one. And the reason behind this is because we realized that if we allow one branch to go on its own to implement this remuneration order, another branch might be affected adversely. It means somebody gains and somebody loses. At the end of the day, it's the lawyer that still loses, because clients will only have an opportunity to go wherever is more favorable to them. So as chairman in Lagos State, we decided to come together to ensure that this thing works, and at the end of the day, we are still winners. So when we got the remuneration order, we asked that they take it across to all branch general meetings so that we can also get the buy-in of our branches, our members, and if there's anything that they need us to remove, adjust, we're still working on that. And we've been able to get quite a number of feedbacks that we have worked on. We are still getting feedbacks that we are still working on. So the reason why we're gathered here today is because we have decided that we come together under one umbrella where we can all speak together and I can be heard. If I'm not attending Lagos branch meeting, I might not understand why and what. But if we come together, we might be able to understand each other and then provide solutions that work. And this is one of the town hall meeting. Another town hall meeting we hold in January. On the request of the chairman of Lagos branch, was requested that we allow one additional town hall meeting to enable us get across to other stakeholders in Lagos State to attend the town hall meetings. I envisage as an individual that tough conversations will be held today. Yes, because I have gotten a lot of feedbacks, but I refuse to be afraid. And I also envisage that tougher conversations will be held. Conversations that gear us towards achieving our desired goal. We only have one interest, that lawyers are well remunerated. That is the goal of this joint remuneration portal. Nothing less, nothing more. And we do not intend to cross or shortchange any set of lawyers in the course of putting this together, because it appears from the feedback that I've gotten that some people might not be too comfortable with certain things. So today, they will tell us why and possibly tell us how we should go about it. A smaller group of people have put this together. with the very little knowledge that we have as colleagues. We envisage that the larger group will be able to, provide better solutions to the remuneration portal as soon as it is being presented. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd welcome our technical partners to make the presentation, and after which, if they leave anything out, I'll be sure to, add up.
Thank you very much. I just want to quickly draw attention to a QR code that will be displayed on the screen so we can have access to the brochure of this program while we follow. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ebele Chukwumezude, and I am in the Enterprise Solutions Department of Tennessee. Tennessee Professional Services is a multi-competency enterprise and technology consulting company. And with our head office in Lagos and corporate office in Enugu and Abuja, we are in 9 countries: Ghana, Ethiopia, Kenya, Dubai, etc. We cater to over 168 clients, such as the CBN, the Bank of Ghana, and a host of all of them. Our core offerings are hardware systems, software systems, enterprise solutions, cyber security solutions, and many more. We delved into the different sectors like banks, telecoms, government and public sectors, schools, and so many more. Our vision is to continually collaborate with our esteemed stakeholders to meet desired business objectives by providing first-class, unique, premium, and cost-effective solutions. And our mission by 2030 is to be the foremost enterprise technology consulting firm in Nigeria and Africa at large. We partner with different OEMs such as Red Hat, IBM, Oracle, Huawei, and a host of others who trust in our partnership. Over the years, we have received different industry awards such as Huawei, Impeva, and others. We cater to different sectors, like I mentioned before. In like the financial sectors, we have First Bank, Stanbic. In the oil and gas, we have Chevron, Seplat. We are also in the telecommunication, education, and public sector. But today we'll be discussing about the MBA Remuneration Compliance Portal for Lagos State, powered through Tennessee, with the aim of transforming property transactions through digital innovations. Okay, establishing the property transaction portal for the MBA is powered, like I mentioned, by Tennessee, and it transforms how property transactions are managed across the MBA branches in Lagos State by fee standardization in line with legal practitioners' remuneration, digitized documentation, and automated disbursement. And by integrating these core elements into one system, it will enhance efficiency, transparency, and professionalism in the legal property market in Lagos. So what are the core functionalities? 1, lawyer integration. This portal, when implemented and made mandatory, will ensure that only lawyers will access it and non-lawyers will be knocked out of it. I think somebody gave an example here where stamps were sold to land registry. So this portal will just allow only lawyers to make use of it. Also, fee standardization, which was mentioned earlier. It will ensure that there's a minimum benchmark in line with MBA approved remuneration standards. Also, transaction management. It ensures seamless end-to-end management of the property transactions. So the lawyers have visibility from registration to completion. Also, document verification. It provides a centralized MBA-approved verification and secure digital record keeping for all property documents. And a compliance certificate will be generated. Then also, secure payment processing. Here, because of the built-in gateway, and it ensures it ensures prompt, seamless, and secure disbursement. So once you generate the payment links to your clients, there is prompt payment and there is nothing shady. Okay, so what does this portal offer? It offers an integrated ecosystem tool designed to protect lawyer fees and also streamline property transactions through fraud prevention, system integration, compliance verification, transaction management, and payment processing. So what is the market impact? We know that the Nigerian property market, it has a significant economic value and hence is a lucrative sector for legal professionals. So what does this portal offer you? It offers you 3 times revenue growth. So your earnings are increased by a portal for fee collection. Also, legal recovery rate is increased. It ensures optimal fee collection through this portal, and there is no case of customer or client evasion of payment. Also, it also automates or increases to almost 100% the compliance accuracy as document verification and processes are ensured and error-free. Also, over 70% potential recovery from undercutting practices. Undercutting practices such as, I can do it better here or there. Then what is the implementation roadmap? One is to secure a user-friendly digital platform for transaction processing. Now the next thing is to implement or to integrate the MBA systems and payment systems into this app that has been built for fee collection and standardization. Then the next thing is to train the lawyers, the MBA officials, and the clients on how to use the portal, after which the portal will be launched and rolled out for full use. So what will be the benefits of this portal as against what we have now? We have fair market price, right? We have mentioned it will boycott any type of fee. It will encourage fee standardization and also increase revenue recovery to over 100%. So how does this platform work? Okay, so you create your account. By creating your account, you are meant to. Oh, great. Please, can you go back to the other slide? So I mentioned about the benefits. So you have a fair market price. The fair market price will ensure fee, like we mentioned, we ensure that there's a standard fee, a benchmark fee. There is no undercutting. And then we have revenue recovery. The revenue recovery will ensure that all lost funds or what lawyers are paid their worth for the services that they offer. Okay, come on to the next slide. Okay, please move. I'll come back to the slide. Move again. No. Okay. So for the I wanted to discuss on the flow, how you can access the portal. So you first of all create your account where you input some fields, your call number, an email address, your password, your account number. Then it will take you to a dashboard where you can click on new transaction. So there are 2 types of property transaction type. You have the outright payment and the installment payment. And this is self-explanatory. The outright payment is a one-off payment where the customer pays one time. So if you select the outright payment, it will take you to the property details. In the property details, you have different fields to complete as well, like the property type, the address, the value, the survey plan, and the description. When you do that, you submit, and then another page comes up or is prompted where you put the amount that your client is meant to pay. When you put that, you confirm it. Then it generates a link for you and you send to your client. Upon successful payment, you'll be able to download the compliance certificate. you should know that if the customer is not going to, if the client doesn't pay completely, the compliance certificate will not be generated. That takes us to the next slide. So, in the installment payments, just like the outright payments, you create your account, you fill in all the details, you move to your dashboard, you click on recent transaction, then you click on installmental payments. I'm sure your clients you and your clients will agree on how you pay. He will pay, right? So if you click on installment payments, you fill all the details, the property type, property address, value, and so on and so on. Then the fifth page comes up, and then you generate the payment link. When you generate the payment link, you put the amount that the customer is meant to pay, and then you send the link to him, and then you'll be able to track the progress of the link, of the payments, the progress of the payments. And then in number 8, or the next activity is, because the customer has not fully paid, he won't be able to generate the compliance certificate. Only upon completion that the compliance certificate will be generated. And this gives a sneak peek to how revenue will be collected in full. Okay, so to summarize or to conclude, the MBA Remuneration Compliance Portal for Lagos will redefine property transactions through clear pricing guidelines and transparent standards. And more importantly, it will prevent undercutting and ensure operational efficiency across the legal property market. It will also enforce fair practice and protect professional integrity of lawyers across all MBA branches in Lagos State. And then it will position Lagos State as at the center of a modern technology-driven property market. And who knows, other states will emulate this as well. Thank you. If there are further questions, I think they can come up after this.
Okay, thank you very much. I would attempt to just summarize. I'm not a technical person, so I will just literally explain how the portal works, the interface. So when we click on the portal, the first interface is to enter the basic details of the lawyer, to identify that you're a lawyer. That's including your SCN. From that interface, we move into the next one, where we put in the basic information about that transaction. Is it a mortgage or is it land property? When you click that, it takes you to that interface. And then we now click the basic information on that. And like I said earlier, we have been consulting, and based on some consultations and feedbacks that we have gotten so far, lawyers are concerned about confidentiality of their clients, and then although we have explained to them that the compliance certificates will not carry all of this information, but people are still concerned. So what we did was, we actually spoke to the technical team and decided to substitute the name of the parties with the location of the property and the survey number. So you enter the survey number or the coordinates instead of the names of the assignor, assignee, in order to better conceal the identity of the clients. That we were able to do on that interface. So on that interface, we'll also move on to the next interface that will give us, she mentioned something about staged payments. That's what they call it technically, but she said instrumental. This was from the consultation we had when we visited the Honorable Attorney General of Lagos State, where he actually made some other observations and asked us to look into those areas as well. And one of those areas he asked us to consider is some clients, especially when it's a huge transaction, don't pay at once. So the transaction is usually in installments. So what we decided to do from everything that we gathered is to now have the interface make provision for staged payments. So it means that if the client is paying a particular amount now, it's the minimum of that amount that goes back that of the transaction rather, that they pay to the lawyer. So that's where the lawyer is still not shortchanged at the end of the day. And the reason why that will not generate a full compliance certificate is because that will also show that it's an incomplete transaction until the transaction is completed. It's when the transaction is completed that you're now able to get the compliance certificate. So on that interface, once you're done, it generates a code. Every transaction has a transaction number and a QR code. So that is what we send to the client. The client then pays through the portal. Immediately the client pays to the portal. Because it has a unique identification number, the money is credited directly and immediately, because what we initially planned was to initiate a refund button. But as soon as the transaction is, the consideration is paid, it is credited back, because from the initial stage, the lawyer would have entered the account details. So you are credited back your money less the transaction fee. Is an immediate one. So what then happens? And then the portal does not retain monies and things like that. No. It goes through a remitter gateway portal, which I've asked them to investigate from providers, remitter, Flutterwaves, Access Bank. I understand they have one. And I understand that I think it's 1% or maximum of 2,000 naira thereabout. So it's not a huge sum of money to be debited from clients' money. So once that is done, the client can log in back, and then you download your compliance certificates. That's the summary of how the portal is expected to work. Like I said earlier, the sole aim is to ensure that lawyers are well remunerated. Distinguished faculty chair mentioned some things which I want to quickly seize the opportunity to, she said something about breach of confidentiality, sharing of professional fees. At least I was able to, pick those two from the things that she mentioned. My question will be, if we don't debit or charge a small change on the users of the portal, there is no way to maintain the portal. We want a portal, so it has to be maintained. And then, oh yes, ma'am. No question. I want to quick. No, it's because it will form part of the conversation of the faculty. I'm handing over to the faculty now, and there will be opportunity for questions and answers. Yes, and then. Okay, ma'am. No, the charge. What we did was, initially when we held this meeting, it was agreed at 1%. But we had some, resistance saying that 1% of a huge transaction is a lot. And then some of our technical partners will also believe that 1% of a very small transaction is insignificant, which is the truth. So what we have decided to do with that is to have thresholds for the transactions. It's the thresholds that will help us. So now the gateway that I'm talking about here is, as regards the payments, we all know that when we pay some fees via portal, the gateway company, they charge something. That is what I asked them to negotiate, so that we are certain what we are saying to lawyers. And with what I've gotten so far, I understand as of today that the minimum fee chargeable through the gateway is 2,000 naira. And that is not the money to maintain the portal, because the portal has to keep running anyways. And then my faculty chair said they don't want portal. The truth is that Lagos is a very big market. We are huge. It is impossible for us to monitor compliance manually. So we have to deploy the use of technology. We don't have any other way, but if members of the audience or the faculty think that there's a better way, please tell us. We are also interested, we are curious to know. Because the truth is that, to a very large extent, some of us too are very passionate about confidentiality. It's not those people that make big money, even those of us that are not making real money. We don't also want people to know that we're not making good money. But in any case, I have been, the technical team actually explained, because we had to explain that challenge to them. And they said that it's not, the names are usually not, I will ask them to explain it during question and answer, but it's not revealed. Like, it's not, you won't know that it was so person that has so amount of money, because it's a payment Flutter gateway thing, and we're not retaining that money in the account. The only monies, please pay attention, the only monies that is going into the account once they debit the sum is they deducted some on the threshold. That is what I asked them to work on. So they will answer the questions if we need clarifications when we get to that stage. I'm sure that they are here to answer the questions. And then my distinguished keynote speaker also mentioned something about having other aspects of the remuneration compliance on the dashboard. Yes, we are still working. We're a work in progress. In fact, on this portal as it is right now, the pro bono interface that he talked about, where you have to write your remuneration committee in branches, we felt that once the remuneration committee gives you once you write to them and then there is a certificate of exemption, there should be a place on the portal where you can upload it as a certificate of but you see, chairman, we are not united in that aspect, because they believe that don't start with pro bono interface, because it is we lawyers that will go and inform clients that there's a pro bono interface, and then they will come and be telling us, and should be there's a clinic for pro bono, let's use that area. So they said yes, we will do it as we advance in the course of this remuneration project. And for the area that affects general and civil litigation, we've asked the Joint Technical Committee to come together to produce something. They've held some meetings. And what I have as at now is still something that I want them to go back and think more about. Because seriously, it has been difficult because the general and civil litigation is very, very broad and it's complex. There are a lot of factors to consider. The timing, the length of the cases, and there's just a lot. So what they gave to me, Jide Abiodun is here. What they advised us as chairman is that why don't we allow lawyers depose to an affidavit of compliance? And then we then approach, because we still have a pending meeting with the CJ. And then we now present whatever position we want to the CJ. If it's possible, that can also form part of the okay, I'm already getting no, it's not going to happen. Well, that's why we are here today. Tell us how you think it can work. Because I feel that it's very basic, but as basic as it is, it will still work if we don't have any other options for now. Knowing fully well that we have a whistleblowing policy. So if you are caught, you will explain how you depose to an affidavit that you have complied with the remuneration order. First, that you have taken proper instruction. Second, that you have charged appropriately. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to stop now, so I hand over to the faculty chairman to take it from here. And I'm sure that you can jot your questions. When you're done, she will be able to.
Thank you very much, the chairman of Ikorodu. I'd like to start first of all by thanking everyone for still being here. We have a full house now. And to thank our keynote speaker, Mr. Olusegun Abimbola, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, who has honestly given a very thought-provoking but really went into detail about and selling why the remuneration order is a must. I must commend him for a very well-researched keynote, which really went into the background, and it's clear why he's passionate about it, since he was part of those that wrote the white paper. So we do honestly appreciate and we understand the rationale behind it is really to ensure that we have a standard way of billing to undercharging. But there are just so many issues that have come up today. I mean, I will start with what we've just listened to, which is the portal. And I'm first of all glad to say that I really have a rich faculty with me, starting with Mr. Yemi Akongbe, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Olumuyiwa Akinboro, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. Please, can we all just, as I'm calling their names, a round of applause for them. I've got with me Mr. Shillings, SOS, Medium Advocate. That's your own. Please, a round of applause for him. I've got the one and only Mr. Olusegun Fabunmi, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, with us. And lastly, but not the least, Babajide Ojo. Thank you all for volunteering your time to be here. I think we should start with the most basic, which is what we've just listened to, which is the portal. And I think it's very essential that we all understand. It's new to me. I'm just seeing it like you all. But there's sort of like questions I think we should ask. So the MBA, we all have heard that the remuneration order has been passed to law. So we cannot question that. The question here today is the enforcement and implementation and compliance. The first question for me is, one, they said every branch should come up with their own model. So Lagos is trying to do that. So we must understand where we are so that we don't go back to the back. So we're now here today because we want to find out how we can implement. Question 1 to my panel as follows. There's a portal, and I understand Tennessee, a third party, is being told to manage the portal. Does my order give us a right for a third party to look into and charge, and extra charges, are being charged? For me, I'm a lawyer, and let's break it down. So, Folashade Alli, I just entered into a transaction with Mrs. Toyin Bashorum, and we just charged a fee. What is MBA? Question 1, what does MBA have to do with my transaction? I'm a lawyer. Second, now, I'm being told that these fees I'm being told should not be paid to me. It should be paid through the branch. And then not even now through the branch, through a third party. They should now monitor and charge out of my fees. Question to my panel, and I'll start. I'm so sorry, they've broken my teeth. So I'll start with Mr. Olusegun Fabunmi. Do you think a third party should be involved in this transaction? Because MBA is being novel. And there is a two-pronged question. Sorry, please, can we have one house? Remember, now we are being told that they're trying to discourage undercharging. But there are now 3 different zones. I understand, one, because that has not been mentioned. What I charge as a lawyer for a transaction in Lagos is not what they charge in Ekiti. There's band 1, band 2, band 3. I don't understand, one, the criteria for having Ekiti in band 2, Abia in band 1. I don't understand that. So we have 18 states that are supposed to be band 1 and 18 states band 2. Lagos and Abuja band 3 because we're supposed to be, all of you here are supposed to be rich. And they're saying to all of us here that they're trying to discourage us for undercharging. So I can have my transaction and get my branch in Ekiti and charge lower. What are we trying to avoid? I don't understand, but I'm going to go to Mr. Fabunmi, and please tell us 2 things. One, the first question, sir, to you, is that can a third party transcend Tennessee? I hope you have I pronounced your name well, Tennessee. Should they be the third party that should be managing what is being done by Ikorodu, Lagos, Badagry, Surulere, and all the other 7 branches? It's yours. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Malana Brothers, Chair of Faculty. I've listened carefully to Mr. Oluseun Abimbola. He did an excellent job. That lecture was fantastic. And I put down some notes. Some of the things I put down were the things you have also said. The first one I want to point out, in all laws, there are lacuna. That's the problem. The framers of that law, at the time they were putting it together, might not have thought of some things that might be problems in that law. Now, the law is good, excellent. We want to curb shortfall, people who are undercharging. In my chambers, I see family friends coming. You tell them, I'm charging X amount for this legal documentation. And they shout, lawyers, why are you collecting so much? I'm now covered by this law to tell them that, look, there's Nigerian Bar Association that has made a law that says I cannot charge less. But the implementation here is the issue. Now, the first thing I want to say, because the faculty is asking, can a third party pay? There's no way you can do it that a third party will not be involved. Yes, this is the way I'm saying it. Now, if you ask the third party to pay to me, who is preparing the document, we are still not curbing the problem that we wanted to prevent. So that money, there must be involvement of a third party to a neutral person that will now show that, look, you are not the one that is saying he must pay an X amount. It is that third parties that is implementing that provision. But my first take is this. In the law, this remuneration law, is there a provision for MBA to charge commission? That's the first question. Is there a provision in this law that says, there's no doubt that if MBA is managing or implementing this law, and they have created a portal for people to pay, some fees must go in there to maintain and cover the expenses.
If you don't mind, please, if you have any comments, I'd like you to put up your hands. But whilst we're talking now, please plead that there should be silence so that we can all follow. Thank you very much.
So to me, since I was given the invitation, I've been thinking about it seriously. Because even in other states that this law is being implemented, the framers of the law never had it at the back of their mind that MBA will one day, when implementing this law, will come up to say, I'm charging a fee. You want me to stop at that?
Much. No, you can. If you want to, before I go to the next. If you want, if you still have it.
So, my own position is this. This law, we still need to go back and revisit it. I'm not saying that we should throw away the baby with the bathwater. If we all agree, because it will pay us at the end of the day, definitely I'm comfortable. I can say that with all sense of modesty. But there are so many people here who definitely are being put up to a corner. When the clients come, they say, this is the amount I want to pay to you. And if you don't agree, they take it to the next person. And there's nothing you can do about it. I can say, I'm not going to accept, which I've done several times. I tell a client, I'm not going to accept this fee you want to pay to me. It's because I can be able to do so. What about those who cannot do it? And that's what we want to prevent. Thank you.
Thank you very much. He started on a good note. So we're being told by Mr. Fabunmi, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, that we don't have a choice. He's just said it now, but to use a third party. So I will go to Mr. Shillings. Based on what Mr. Fabunmi just said, please, can you give him the mic? Mr. Shillings, that's the last one. So we're being told that we would have to use a third party. Let's assume that Mr. Fabunmi is correct. And the extra charges now that we have to pay, doesn't that negate the rules of professional conduct? RPC 3 and 53 says that we should not share our fees with non-lawyers. But now I'm being told that I have to share my fees. Don't you think that negates two? If we really want this this law to take place, isn't there a need for us, first of all, to go back and review our rules of professional conduct? But there's so many sections that for me are going to be contradictory to what we're trying to implement. So my question to you, sir, is that if we have to use a third party and share with an MBA, because as far as I know, in my own definition of law, MBA is a body and is not a lawyer. And as far as I know, I'm not sure that MBA can call itself a lawyer to want to share a dime. It doesn't matter if it's 0.1 or 0.000.1. It's not the amount. It's the rationale behind them wanting to take a dime from my own fees that we are talking about today. So it's not the quantum. Should they be charging? Two, if they should, are they not breaching our rules of professional conduct? Thank you.
Hello. Is it the chairman or dean I will call you now?
I think I'm supposed to be the dean and professor. Thank you.
Okay, the dean. Now, my opinion about that is, first and foremost, about whether we need a third party to be involved. It's like we all subscribe to the doctrine of necessity.
Yes, please.
When it is necessary, then you'll have to do what is necessary. Now, the introduction of the portal, I must thank whoever brought that idea. It will save us a lot of things. It will save us from our immoral morality, which is what is actually killing us. You want to continue in friendship, but a friendship that will put you in poverty. So if we want to get out of it, then we must do what is necessary. It's just like you opening your body to a doctor. And for women, when you are giving birth, you don't even care whether it's a man or a woman who is seeing the thing. Let him just see what he wants to see. I just want that thing to be done. Now, as for fees, first and foremost, we must determine, even if all of us have taken a transaction of an average of 20 million per annum, how much have you put into it that will determine me giving you a certain percentage of it? Can it not be paid from the fees of, what we have paid into the MBA as an organization as members? If we determine, then we will know whether the purse of the MBA is not buoyant enough to be able to settle it. It is when we decide that, then we now come back to us to start paying that, because otherwise it will appear as if we are paying additional.
Silence in the lecture room.
So it will appear as if the MBA is surcharging us, and I'm suspecting anyway that yes, now that it looks like another way of getting more money from us. So we need to determine what exactly is the amount that goes to that property for that service.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Shillings has thrown in another, dimension. He first of all called it doctrine of necessity. So this necessity now demands that I ask Mr. Olumuyiwa Akinboro, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. The question is that what is the necessity here? Is MBA even supposed to charge? What's the morality behind MBA wanting to charge the fees? Question one, based on what Mr. Shillings just said. Should they even be charging at all? Do you understand? Because I really, honestly, I question MBA saying that they actually want to be. So he spoke about doctors. And he said that if I have to go to the doctor, I don't care. And that actually is the question I think we should ask ourselves. Does NMA regulate doctors' fees? Does the surveyor, do they regulate their fees? And that's where I'm going. Now listen, I listened to the talk by the surveyors committee and how they do it. But what they said is that they don't come to you. I don't have to submit my details. If I make 2 billion naira today on a transaction, I send it to MBA. Next week, I make 1 million. But unfortunately, Mr. Akongbe has not made anything this year. By the third time, I'm quite sure my office, I'll have rows of people lining up asking me to give them money. Why does everybody have to be privy to what I earn as a lawyer? Isn't there another way in which you can monitor me, maybe through my NIN or my TIN, by my taxes as I'm paying? Why should we submit details of our transactions to MBA? That's the question, sir. And what is the morality? And is there a doctrine of necessity in this scenario, sir? Thank you. Please, we need to listen to Mr. Olumuyiwa Akinboro. So silence in my lecture room.
Thank you very much, Prof.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning, everybody. Oh, it's afternoon now. Sorry. Good afternoon. Well, in the class, it's always morning in the class. So,
thank you.
Yes. I want to start by commending the branches of the Nigeria Bar Association, all the branches in Lagos State. We have Prof said, we have the LPRO on grant, whether we like it or not. Now, the problem we have with it now is implementation. I want to start from one point to let you, and with apologies to Mr. Oluseun Abimbola, who are putting a lot of effort into making this a reality. One, we may not agree that is the most perfect and elegant legislation. We may not agree. But another question I need us to ask ourselves, this that they put together, is it necessary at this point? And if we find out, if we are able to convince ourselves that it is necessary, knowing where we are coming from, then we'll be able to understand that we need to put a lot of things in place to make sure that it works. Every development is always a work in progress. We should not see the LPRO as a finished job. It's a foundation we need to build on. And the foundation has been done now. Like in this building that we have now, there are pillars holding the structure. So pillars will come. The decking will come. We'll raise it to higher heights. And we continue to raise it till we get it to perfection. So let's open our mind to understand that the foundation may look rough, which is actually the situation. If we have been to sites and we know that the foundation is always very rough, very unappealing, but the finished job at the end of the day may be. Now, we need to really also understand that everybody has their own parts to play. The branches are playing their part now, which is they are making effort to make sure that we need to implement, on how to implement. And also on our own part, we need to understand the LPRO. On my own part, I think I put it on myself that, and I guess as much when I was coming here, that we may not have come with the LPRO to this place. So I put it on myself to bring free LPRO and the what's it called? The rules of professional conduct, so that all of us will have a well-informed discussion. So we have it before us now. While we are discussing, we can look at it. Now, the question I'm asked is that, is it necessary for us to have MBA charging a commission or charging a fee for the implementation? I think we have gone past the stage of understanding and agreeing that hello. The implementation demands a level of professionalism and technology that may not ordinarily be available to us as lawyers. So we need to get people that will assist us in making sure that we put the necessary structures in place that will help us to implement adequately. So the question about whether it is necessary to involve a third party, I think is already answered. Now, level of involvement of the third party. And I also think that in the introductory stages, the chairman of Ikorodu has tried to debate our minds about issue of confidentiality and the rest of it. I'm worried. And I'm seriously worried about that. And but like I said, we are a work in progress. We need to start from somewhere. We need to make sure that we have something to start from. In Lagos, where we all are, like the prof said, we are all assumed to be very successful lawyers. And I'm not contesting that because you people are far, far more successful than some of us. And when my friend Yemi was introduced, he said he has not done any work this year. I fall in that category too, because you have really engaged us that the only work we do now is campaign. I'm moving up and down. So unfortunately, what we are advocating may not apply to us because we don't have anything to declare. We don't have any client to send to the MBA office to send us money. But what we are interested in, I see the LPRO as a foundational negotiation tool for all members. Why do I say that? Like I think Mr. Schilling mentioned it and said, when a client comes before you now, I think it's Mr. Fabunmi, that you have something to present to him and say, I'm sorry, I cannot do it because it is a regulation by MBA, and if I do it, it may become a professional misconduct that I may have to, that will affect me professionally. So it's a good negotiation skill. I believe that we have spoken enough. Every year in and out, we come to talk about the profession is becoming poorer. Lawyers are becoming poorer. We are not being paid. Though I have my own mindset about approach. I think this is foundational and maybe may appear simplistic because we are talking about the work that somebody has already that you are trying to make him get paid for. What I'm interested in is for you to be able to have work to do in the first place. Because only somebody that has work to do that will be talking about the edition order. But as a bar, I think we should be more concerned about how is it that our profession, our area of influence, keep thinning down every day. So if we are more focused about, okay, what we have now, but what we have, what we are losing, we are not talking about them. That is a discussion for another day. That is what I think I'm more interested in, a prosperous bar that we thin down to all, where we have open more feeds, more avenue for ourselves. On the question asked, I believe that we need to get experts. We need to get people. Banks charge us transaction fees. I think maybe along the line, in the development, as we are in the foundation stage now, as we develop, we can also structure it in a way to become something like transaction fees. And it takes a little bit of ingenuity that we can start thinking about how to also, if we are so concerned about our fees, if it is part of the one area that I'm very interested in is the other segment of it, the professional angle of it, that you need to have everything in agreement with your clients. At that stage, you need to understand the power that is in your hand. At that stage, when you are negotiating, if I'm the one that I'm negotiating with my client at that stage, my fees will be separate and transaction charges will be separate and it will be documented. So at that stage, I may not be losing anything. So let's just be creative and more open-minded in our approach to these things. We need to understand that we are at this point, we need to do something for the betterment and the structure and the integrity of our profession. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Akinboro. So he said one. So he confirms what Mr. Fabunmi just said about the fact that he thinks we must use third parties. So I'd like to go to Mr. Akongwe and follow up on that. 3 things for me have come out. So there's the issue of confidentiality. There's an issue of breach, in my view. There's data protection, which we all know is now ripe. We have NIDA that says that, once you have privy and information to people's confidential information, you must sign some data protection. The question to the branches is, do they think they have the capacity and capability to be able to handle this? 2, you're talking about, he spoke about the fact that we're now in a virtual world. So I'm wondering, if we are in a virtual village, globalization, do we really need to have any zoning at all? Because why am I having zone if I can work in Lagos, live in Lagos and work in Ado Ekiti, live in Lagos and work in Bayelsa? Why are we having zoning at all? Is it necessary? And even if you are telling us, sir, that there should be transaction, the question for everyone here is about implementation and enforcement. If I earn my fee, you want to just be sure that I'm charging standard rate, minimum rate, uniform rate. Why is my money going first to you? Isn't there other ways you can get this confirmation from me? Why is the money going at all to any third party? Mr. Akongwe, please, can you help us with the issues of data protection? Is there any breach, since they're saying that it doesn't matter and that these are professionals and experts? Do you still think that there's a breach of your confidential duty as a lawyer, which you signed with your client? He's talking about the terms of engagement. Yes, the terms of engagement are clear that you should sign within 14 days. But there are other issues. If I sign within 14 days or not, what is MBA's business in all this? That's what I just have a problem with. If somebody can help me, Then the faculty will go and sign. Thank you, Mr. Akongbi.
Thank you very much. Let me also start by thanking the chairman of the Lagos branches. I think this initiative shows that they're all progressive-minded, all the chairmen, and I thank them for this town hall meeting. You know, my view is very, very important for me to give a historical background to my view, so you don't think that I'm a devil's advocate. I'm very passionate about remuneration, and I think that I'm one of the most qualified people to be on this panel. When the keynote speaker was talking about the history of this remuneration order, I take it a bit backward for you to know how passionate I am about it. In 2019, I was campaigning to become the chairman of Lagos branch. And a friend of mine and I went to campaign to a particular lawyer in his office. And when he was talking about what are we going to do for we poor lawyers. Nothing broke my heart that day, that a lawyer actually acknowledged that he's a poor person. And my campaign slogan was actually centered around prosperity. I set up a committee then, a remuneration committee chaired by Tony Nwoche. And it was a committee to develop a report on wages of lawyers. How can lawyers earn a living wage in Lagos State? Tony Nwoche was the chair of that committee. They grouped Lagos into different bands and came up with a report. The report came at the end of our administration. But because Olu Akpata was part and parcel of my administration, when he got to the national, that was the first thing he did. He called Tony Nwoche, set up that committee, and he improved on that report that we did in Lagos. The only thing is that I was more particular about wages, living wage for lawyers in employment. But they added, they then looked at it and said, okay, you want us to pay lawyer X amount of money. What if we don't earn it? They then looked at the scale as well, like, okay, fine, let people earn well so they can pay well. And that is the genesis of this thing. Remuneration, I actually started the conversation on remuneration. So you should know how passionate I am on this thing. But I tell you what, we are talking about implementation and enforcement now. I think we should keep the baby and throw away the bathwater that we have currently. That's my view. Keep the baby, because there's nothing more laudable than this piece of legislation. Lawyers should earn well. But the way we're going about it, I think it will not fly. The starting point is this. Communications are privileged between client and lawyer. Evidence Act makes any communication. Invoices are part of communication. So for me, it is privileged. Except my client waives it. Nobody can breach it. And even our courts have said that when we went to court over SCUMO and say it is privileged. You can't waive it. You can't breach it. So this is enforcement. I'm talking about how to implement it. Number one, for me, it beats my imagination that in this day and age, the tech-driven world that we're in, we can't find a better way of enforcing this legislation. It beats my imagination that we can't. Now, the Lagos branches have come together to say, let's have a portal to do this, to do that. But the chair made a point just now that why can't you have uniformity? So, you know that there are branches in Nigeria that are not even using this portal. Their own is still very, very, even more crude than what we are doing. Their own says you should pay to the branch account. So you're telling me that I have a transaction somewhere outside Lagos, I pay to the MBA account of the branch. They will now remit the money back to me. Because you're advanced in Lagos, they're talking about a portal now. In other states, they're not talking about portal. You pay to the branch. They will deduct COT and all of those things, then they remit money back to you. Is that? Are we moving forward that way? For me, I think we try to cure injustice and create more injustice. That's what we do. Because let me give you an example. I heard Mr. Shilling saying that, yes, a woman wants to give birth, you're more bothered about the child coming out of you. You don't care whether a doctor is a male or a female. But let me tell you as well, in this day and age, why do I want anybody to know my inflow as a lawyer? Why do I want someone to know that I just earned $5 million? Why do I want someone to know that in this day of securities and kidnap, people kidnap for 100,000 naira these days, and you're telling me to expose myself because of that? That's one. Another thing is this: we're in a competitive industry. There's serious competition between lawyers. Why do I want people to know how much my charge out rate is? Why do I want Mr. Akinboro to know or any other person to know here? Because the portal. See, let us look at other jurisdictions. I know there are people that will come up with the argument of, oh, this confidentiality thing is being stepped down all over the world and all of that, you know. Yes, I'm a member of the IBA, the FATF, Financial Action Task Force. You know, in a bid to combat money laundering, terrorism, and all of that, they're stepping down this lawyer-client privilege thing. But there is no jurisdiction that enforces it the way we're enforcing it. The closest jurisdiction to us, out of all these advanced countries, is United Kingdom. The SRA, the Solicitors Regulation Authority of England, lawyers file reports with them. They know how much each lawyer is earning. Today, you can tell how much Allen and Overy earned last year. You can tell how much Clifford Chance made last year. Everything is there. But they don't put details of transactions there. They don't know how much I charge, how much this person charges, or how much that person charges. I think, Madam Chair, we need to start with baby steps. No branch in the NBA, I've been chairman of Lagos branch before, no branch in the NBA knows how many law firms are in their jurisdiction. And that's the starting point. We must know. How do you want to enforce? How do you want to know that this person has complied, that person has not complied? I tell you what we do as human beings, when we see an obstacle, we walk our way around it. Somebody was telling me in Ilorin 2 weeks ago that in Ondo, where they've started this implementation that you play to the branch and all of that somebody had a transaction in a filling station. And between the client and the lawyer, they agreed how much he was going to pay the lawyer. But the guy paid the minimum amount that the regulation says you should pay. The lawyer collected it from the branch, paid the guy his own money back, and took his own out of it. It's a mindset, it's a culture thing. If you do this thing, people will still find their way around it. Why don't we get it right? Get it right properly. Why don't we get it right properly? Let us know how many law firms. Let us know how we can do enforcement. Enforcement can be carried out by branches properly, but you must even know how many, who is complying, who is not complying. So for me, law firms don't even register with branches. Why? Law firms don't register with branches. Why can't Ikeja branch know all the law firms? If you do this portal, you say I should register, EP should register. When we charge as a law firm, we don't charge individually. They pay my firm. So I cannot go and register as an individual on that portal because the invoice is not going to go out in my name. It's not going to come to my personal account. It goes to law firm account. So you can see this dichotomy.
Thank you. I think Mr. Akongbe has really raised for me very critical issues and very pertinent issues that we should discuss. When FIRs were going to start, I'm quite sure we all cannot remember. It's taken them nearly 10 years to get to where we are now, where each and every one of us, they can know how and how much we earn and if we're paying taxes. But it didn't come in one day. There were things that we had to put in place, from our driver's license to having TIN. We all didn't understand where they were going. Nothing is done like this. Enforcement can only be done gradually. So I'm going to ask Mr. Babajide, really, can we enforce, even if we say what we are saying? Do you think senior lawyers, junior lawyers will comply with us uploading all their information to their branches? We don't have a law firm directory for crying out loud. That's why I commend the Nigerian Bar Association section on legal practice. We're coming up with, for the first time, a law firm directory where each and every one of you, by God's grace, would register. Because we need to start from somewhere. How do you enforce what you don't know? We need to first of all start by even knowing our lawyers. So how do you, Lagos branch, how do you, Badagry, do you know how many lawyers you have? How many law firms? And then when we saw the portal, I actually wanted to ask a question. Is it the lawyer or the law firm that's going to load? There's so many things that are ambiguous, are not clear. So I'm sorry, we really applaud. I understand where they're going. And what is important for me is the wages of the lawyers. Our lawyers are crying. Some of them cannot afford daily living. When you have a lawyer that was called to bar, youth corps, and works in a law firm, they pay them 80,000. That same colleague that's in a bank is earning 600,000. I'm even saying even more. What I'm trying to say is that now, for now, lawyers are not, there's no way they can even check how much I'm paying my youth corporal. We need to start from that. Mr. Abimbola said something very valid, that there were 2 recommendations. Why did they take the one for fees? Remuneration of our lawyers are extremely important, and that's why I'm happy that we have someone that can speak to that. How do we really enforce this order realistically? How can we? Thank you.
Thank you, ma. Permit me to stand on existing protocols. I must say that the remuneration framework, aside the legal backing for it, it seeks to bring all members in Lagos State in solidarity to ensure standardization of our fees. And I must also state that what the remuneration order expects is that we maintain the minimum fee chargeable. We don't need to know if you earn $1 billion. We don't need to know if you earn $500 billion. What matters is that you have complied with the minimum fee chargeable. On the issue of confidentiality, I would say that the chairman of Ikorodu branch had earlier mentioned during a presentation that names will not be included. What would be included is the coordinates, if possible, or it's still a work in progress. But also, we need to understand that the Lands Bureau is also privy to, for example, privy to information of registration of title to land. It knows who purchased, who did not, and that's that. Also, the section under the rules applicable to scale 4 of the remuneration order, it also gives the power to inspect or investigate transactions on the remuneration committee. So the remuneration order in a way covers that. The only difference is that if there's a suspicion of a breach of the order, talking about bringing in third parties also, which also goes to confidentiality as well. I will use the bank as a case study. The bank operates might be more than that, but in 3 sections. The bank itself, they have tech partners, and they have payment gateways. You know, all these bodies get to see what we do, but we don't talk about that. So then also, talking about the MBA being interested in our fees, I think we can, if we're truly interested in thinking about the welfare of lawyers and the future generation, we can charge on the fee, not from the fee. That is the transaction charges can be on the fee, not from the fee. So we know that, okay, we're not taking from the lawyer's fee. So lawyer charges, like Leonard Sanad said, lawyer charges and the in his what do I call it? Engagement contract, it is stated clearly that the fee is separate. Other charges can apply, transactional charges and all. Also, data protection. I think the MBA also has this mother protection oversight on we lawyers, and we don't expect the MBA to enter into an agreement with a tech partner or payments partner without a data protection clause to cover that. So for the number of law firms, I don't think that really applies to this remuneration framework. We don't need to know. What matters is that, you know, this remuneration framework, what wasn't mentioned is that others from Lagos, outside Lagos State, can come to Lagos to transact. But the only difference is that they choose the location of the transaction. You know, yes, they choose the location of the transaction to select the branch which they will be paying to. You know, there's also payment gateways for each branch, with how each branch gets their money. Do you understand? So if I choose Lagos branch, automatically the site is not a holding site. Lagos branch gets its charge on the fee, for example, and the lawyer gets his own money. So outside lawyers, it's also anticipates the involvement of outside lawyers, you know. And with that, I just feel that we have to be receptive of it. We have to think about the future. I don't think there's a breach. I think in a way, yes, the law, we might talk about the law, but the confidentiality part, if I don't know who you received money from, you haven't breached any confidentiality. Do you understand? That's my own humble submission now.
Sorry, Mr. Ba, it's really well spoken. But I think there are three things. First of all, Mr. Oluseun Abimbola unfortunately has to leave in 20 minutes or 30, and I would like you to ask him some questions before we continue. But there are three things that came up from Mr. Babajide's submission just now. And the first for me is that we're talking about property. The remuneration order doesn't deal with only property. I mean, we need to honestly realize that this is beyond a property transaction. There's legal opinion, consultancy, litigation, every area of law even has other services. So everything we do very soon is actually going to be subject to the Legal Practitioners Remuneration Order 2023. And it seems to me that there's no uniform way in which it's being enforced. Even the chairman of Ikorodu has come to say maybe in civil litigation we'll do it this way, maybe in legal opinion. How do we enforce? If I'm writing a legal opinion and I'm being told that because I come from Aba, I can charge 200, but a lawyer in Lagos 500,000 for the same number of years, what would you think will happen? So what we're trying to do now is to enrich those in the regions. That cannot be the aim of the remuneration order. But I think because Mr. Abimbola would like to go, I would like to take some questions from the audience. Let's ask them to answer, and then let Mr. Abimbola also be in a position, because I mean, he is the guru, is the one that wrote this remuneration order. So I would like you to please ask him questions before he goes. He did not write the enforcement, but he was part of those that came up with, and part of those, I mean, it's not only him, it was a team. But I think because he's a keynote speaker, it would be nice for us to ask him for questions, because he has more background knowledge than I do and other people in the faculty. So please, I'd like the floor to be open for those that would like to ask. I'll start with the gentleman in front here on the left, and then the man in glasses. Thank you. And please, the question should not be long. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And please state your name and your branch. Thank you.
Faculty, all respected protocols. My name is Olajide Abiodun. I'm the Vice Chairman of MBA Ikorodu branch. My question goes just to Leonard Sik. We have heard everything that has been said. As a Leonard Senior, sir, how do you think we can implement it?
Thank you. I think we should just one question at a time, sir. Or you want us to take? Okay, well, he wants to take all the questions together. So the man in glasses, just there, that put up his hands earlier on. Okay, him. Excuse me. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, thank you.
My name is Ahmed Abbas. Well, let me align with the question my
Mr.
friend
Abiodun,
asked, because I would have wanted to make a comment.
Thank you. So we'll go to the gentleman there. Can I have some ladies also? Thank you.
Yeah, good afternoon. My name is
please.
M8 Mplani. My name is M8 Mplani. I'm from Ikorodu branch. My own question is that this situation of paying for the deed into the NBA account, it's something that's a welcome idea. When we it's something that is a welcome idea.
Okay.
It's a welcome idea. Because we have engagement with some these people that used to do a deed of assignment, and then not agent, no, land matters. That is estate surveyors. That is when we come to ask them for exact land map to give us. They always give us a price, a standard price. That is it, whether you go in or you go out. So it's a very good one if you have that uniformly. But the issue here is, we were told, and we take a caution. We are ready to implement it. We had a problem before. Somebody gave us a land deed, a transaction to do a deed of assignment. We agreed to do it on the particular price. When he refused to take it on 10%, he gave it to other lawyer, take it less than 10%. We have that problem. Our chairman said we should bring the seal of that lawyer to the branch for him to follow it up. We have that one. We refused to do it because we don't want to expose that situation. But now, what happened last week was a senior.
Can you go to your question, please?
Yes, the senior now We were also asked to do a deed of assignment. We say it's 10%, we move on. The senior now went and collected that less than 10% and tell us that we go with hungry. So now the question here is, how did you now take care of this problem if we are ready to complement? Because it's not all of us that are here to hear this and also put it in practice. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Please, can Uchenna in front here would like to ask a question?
Good afternoon, everyone. My question is not just to the keynote speaker, but to each and every one of us. We say a lot about 10%. To the best of my knowledge, property transactions are broken down into 3 stages. You have the, what do you call it? Preliminary stage, due diligence stage. Then you have the perfection, document preparation stage, and you have the perfection stage. So when we come out and we say we are charging 10%, that 10% is supposed to be for the entire 3 stages. So it's not just to you, sir, it's to each and every one of us. I seek guidance. Is 10% just for document preparation? Is it for everything? How then do we guide ourselves in light of this?
Thank you.
Based on my knowledge, is for everything.
Thank you very much. Mr. Akinlade, and I think we should start. After this 5, let him answer, then we'll go back again, please. Thank you.
I just want to ask, how much of best practices from other legal jurisdictions that have this same kind of module did the committee look at? For example, in South Africa, there are only certain things lawyers can do. In Nigeria, unfortunately, in all sphere of transactions, we have nothing that is specifically stated that a lawyer can or must do.
Thank you very much. I'll give the microphone now to Mr. Olusegun Abimbola.
Thank you very much, and interesting perspective from all sides. Well, let me put out a caveat. When the white paper was presented to NEC, it had proposals for enforcement. When we drafted the Gazette, will be Gazette, it had proposals for enforcement. But we had to follow the Legal Practitioners Act, which says that discussion must start with the General Council of the Bar, headed by the Attorney General of the Federation, the Attorneys General of the states. We're all part of it. In their meeting and in their wisdom, they kicked out all the proposals for enforcement. Those proposals, even if they were there, I'm sure we'll still be debating them today. So it's not to say that was they are kicking it out that created the issue, but just for us to understand that there are no simple answers anywhere. We had proposals in 3 layers, proposals that suggested the involvement of even a tax authority, to which we are already subject anyway. Proposals just to have some form of regulatory oversight for the purpose of the enforcement. Mindful of the fact that, as Mr. Akinlade mentioned, and as Mr. Akogwe also mentioned, in other climes, lawyers, we used to have that integrity too. When you say, I speak from the bar and all those, but now, speak from the convent does not mean a thing. So you have jurisdictions where you do it at your own peril if you act contrary to the rules. And there will be sanctions, severe sanctions. But here, the example my brother gave there, with respect to how a senior collected less, and that can happen anywhere. But then, we're also very cultural, very social, very communal, that when somebody has breached the rule, you don't want to destroy him, so you cover it up. So the perpetrator continues, and the issue continues. That's why we had to put a whistleblowing clause in the law. But that's just by way of background for you to understand that whatever debate we're having today, we had it. And the attorneys general also had it, and they felt, look, let's just limit this to what it was in 1991 as a remuneration order. Let's not include any enforcement mechanism in the law. And it got to the point that it was a take it or leave it. And we didn't have a voice. In fact, we were observers in the room because we are not members of General Council of the Bar. It was a decision of General Council of the Bar, and then which was then signed off by the Attorney General. So let's understand that's what you have. Secondly, we have had comments, and I'll try to breeze through some of these comments before I finish with the question of the Vice Chairman of how do we implement. State bands. State band rates are applicable to other legal services, but not applicable when you're talking of property transactions. If you look at the remuneration order, you'll see that the issue of state bands only apply to other cases, litigation, advisory, this and that, but when it comes to scale 4, which deals with property and all of that, it's a uniform rate that applies. Then what was the wisdom behind state bands? The economies of various cities are different. Just like we also had state bands applicable to the wage recommendation in our NEC report. The economies of various cities will always be different. In Lagos, for instance, if you're charging, let's say, ₦500,000 for a legal opinion on a simple matter, do you think somebody in Ede can charge the same amount? If we now say it should be uniform 500,000, then you are depriving the practitioner in Ede from earning what will be reasonable and yet will still be acceptable in his own domain or jurisdiction, because you are not dealing with the same clientele. Secondly, with respect to wages as well, the cost that you have to deal with in Lagos, in Abuja, in Port Harcourt, are not the cost that perhaps somebody in Biu or Isialangwa will have to deal with. So if we say that the minimum wage for a lawyer of 0 to 5 should be 200,000 naira, is the man in Biu making that amount to be able to afford to pay it? So and then is the cost of living as high as the cost of living of the man in Lagos? So these things had to be balanced for it to be applicable to the various jurisdictions. Those are the thinking behind the state bans. Is NBA charging a commission? There's no provision in the law about it. But as my brother here said, we're already paying commissions on our fees. We're already paying commissions. Because even when your client pays into your own direct account, the bank removes its own. Are we going to say that the bank is sharing fees? Do you understand what I mean? No, let me just finish. Let me just finish. I'm just trying to put these things in perspective so that we can look at it in a positive light. I'm not saying that the portal recommended is excellent, but let us be able to remove the cobwebs so that we can actually address the meat of the issue. We will always have third-party intermediaries in every transaction. Today, when you pay per practicing fee, isn't Paystart collecting a commission? They are collecting a commission because we are paying through a third-party gateway as well. So any payment platform you adopt, whether this portal or you even using your direct bank account, you will still be charged something. We are not regarding that something as sharing of fees. So I don't think we should regard any payment portal charges as sharing of fees. Now that is quite apart from an MBA charge, if there is one. I'm not sure from what was presented. Now, if there is an MBA charge, you can discuss that as a branch or as branches in Lagos. That why should there be an MBA charge? And if you look at the administrative structure and it probably justifies any form of charge, then what should be the minimum? What should be the maximum? Then you can discuss that. But those are the kind of discussions that I think you can have in a convivial environment. Again, there was a question about, okay, 10%. Now I'll come to that. Details of, the issues of confidentiality and all of that. Yes, I had signposted that in my presentation, that we need to look at it in a way that we can avoid any untoward breaches. And I think that if there is, you see, this is the reason why I emphatically said, and I still believe it, and I'm sure my brother who is representing the chairman of Remuneration Committee at the national level will take this back. I still believe that there ought to be guidelines from the national body. We cannot have discordant implementation from branch to branch or state to state. It will not work. Because apart from the fact that we all work across states and across jurisdictions, that means you have, just like we had issues with buying multiple high court rules. Because when you are going to one state, you must have their rules because they have a different provision that is not in your own. And there was a uniform provision, there was a uniform rules, I think, in the north at some point, so that you don't have to be buying different rules. I mean, that's exactly what we are going to face on this as well. You have different implementation structure, and we don't need that. But the truth is that we already have, regulators already have access to details of our transactions by statute. If the LIRS or FIRS demands that you produce the justification for any particular entry they see in your statement of account, you won't tell them client confidentiality, will you? You will produce it because they are bound by statutes to demand it. Otherwise, they'll give you a BOJ. They'll just give you a best of judgment, since you say you don't want to produce it. You get what I mean? You will have to do that. So we can intelligently interrogate these issues and find practical steps. But I don't want us to blanket it and say that this will be a breach. How? If it's going to be a breach, how can we cure it? What is the limit of information we should provide? What is the depth that we should provide? And that's why it is national that can provide that guideline. We are thinking like this because we're having a town hall. How many branches have implemented their own without town halls? So they already have something running. Maybe some people begrudged, some just tagging along. There was another question with respect to whether the portal will cover property only. I guess those designing the portal will have to answer that. I don't know anything about the portal. But I had said that the implementation should not just focus on land transactions. If you are implementing the order, implement the order. Don't just implement a part of the order. Have other structures. It may not be through the portal. It may be other variables, but have other structures that assure implementation is all-inclusive. Is 10% for all fees or for each stage of the transaction? If you look at the remuneration order itself, and I think it's clearly stated from scale 4 what it covers. And if you go to, sorry, I'm just looking at my worn out, beat out sums, not maximums. So the sophistication of your practice will determine how you charge. Some people, they will come, they will put due diligence, every damn thing, 10%. Some might bill you for due diligence as a separate head, recognizing that after due diligence, you may not proceed with the transaction. But I still get paid for due diligence. That is how I expect lawyers to charge. So you charge for your due diligence. It will then be like an advisory opinion, which also has a scale in the remuneration order, and you get paid for that. If you now want to proceed with the transaction, then you come back to your 10%. You understand? That is how I think you can apply it. so that it can be more beneficial irrespective of the outcome of the negotiation. And then the last one on how do we implement this order. Well, that's why you have, I don't know, I don't have a Bible of implementation of the order myself. But what I know is that having chewed through all of the issues that I hear this afternoon, I know that if we have a body that sits and can periscope these things, taking in feedback from the branches, and it may be that that's what the national body will eventually do based on feedbacks being received from meetings like this. But I think that at that level, what is peculiar to Lagos will be aired, what is peculiar to Aba will be aired, what is peculiar to Biu will be aired, and then they can come up and say, okay, if we adopt this position on this point, it can be applied across all the states. And then we know we have dealt with enforcement on maybe engagement letter, for instance. So that mechanism becomes applicable irrespective of where you practice as the manner of enforcement for engagement letter compliance. Then you go to the next area of enforcement. You also look at what obtains across various branches, across various states, and then with that, you can also come up with a recommendation. And then we can all go back and put it together. That, in my view, will be an appropriate way to situate the conversation. It's a good thing that we're all here in Lagos. At least Lagos will be speaking one voice, as opposed to different. I also have issues on some of these issues that we have discussed, but you know, I know that for big guys like the SANs, Yemi Akogbe, I'm not in Lagos, I'm in Ibadan, so I'm not in their category, you know. So for Mr. Fab, for all of them here, they don't want to expose how much they are making. That's their problem. Chief Mrs. Alli doesn't want us to know how much she's making. You know, Mrs. Basharun, you know, they don't want us to know how much they are making. So I can understand their concern. But seriously speaking, they are well-taken concerns. Because if we do not circumscribe the extent of this exposure, we may find ourselves shooting ourselves in the leg. I was involved in the case that when we filed SCUMO, the whole case, the whole petition against SCUMO originated from my branch when I was chairman in 2014, when they started the implementation. And as Mr. Akogbe said, our substantive defense in the case was the issue of privilege and confidentiality. So if we take a position that appears as if we have waived it, we may open the door for other regulators to bump in. I was also involved, I was on a committee under the last administration when EFCC and NFIU wanted to ram down our throats the new Anti-Money Laundering Act, which was to defeat the judgment of our case in SCUMO. And they were going to blackmail us into submission. But the president said, well, if this is what you want to do, we go back to court. Then they said, no, we don't want you to go back to court. Then they had a committee, and a number of us were there on the committee sitting with the EFCC. How can we implement? This is what the international body requires. Recently, you heard that we had been taken off the blacklist of non-compliant nations. This was one of the things that brought us on the blacklist in the first place. So they said, okay, how do you implement? We said, we are self-regulatory. So let us see your money laundering requirements. We will look at the ones that are not contrary to existing legislation and protocols governing legal practice and incorporate it in our rules of professional conduct. So it becomes a compliant tool by our rules of professional conduct. Not that it's EFCC that will be writing you and say, tell me who paid you for house rent. Because the bar was so low, it was $1,000. And the time when they started it, it was 150 to $1. So that means any money earned over 150,000 naira, you must declare to EFCC. I mean, how many transactions are you doing on a daily basis that are not over 150? You have to go and hire a battery of staff just for compliance for that alone. And that doesn't mean they will not come back and say, bring the file. So that's why the case had to go to court. So we have had these experiences. So while we're implementing this one, let us also not expose ourselves in a way that other regulators will jump in and say that you have already waived it in one breath, so why are you complaining in another breath? That's why we need to think it through. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Abimbola, keynote speaker, senior advocate of Nigeria. We really do appreciate the exposure and all your analysis and your advice. But I think still, the truth be told, you have admitted one thing, which is that there's no section in the RPC, no section in the order that actually allows MBA to collect this money. That's the first point you've made. So I think there's a need for you probably and everyone here to actually make sure that whatever we're doing, we're within the boundary of law. We are here to ensure that we do what is right. I will not be privy to being part of a faculty where we come up and just say that it is okay. And honestly, no matter what we all say, there's still areas that are very gray. I'm aware that in Aba, in Anambra, they've actually come up with protocols saying that it is mandatory that all your transactions must comply with their own rules. If you don't, those transactions are declared invalid. So what are we talking about? Uniformity is key. We can't shy away for it. We must be uniform. Why would Lagos be different from Ekiti? And no matter what Mr. Abimbola says, I still do not agree that there should be a reason why Aba should be different from Ekiti or Bayelsa. Well, if we are saying that there are regions, then let's have one. If you want Lagos and Port Harcourt, so only Lagos and Abuja are supposed to be in what? All people have more money than us now. What are we talking about? So I think there's still a need to look at this zoning. Personally, I still believe that even though we're trying to protect and ensure that the younger ones, or lawyers rather, in the regions get work and get paid commensurately, I'm not sure about segregating Lagos and Abuja alone as the areas where lawyers earn more than others. There's really a need to really critically look. What was the criteria of having band A or 1 and 2? I still do not think those criteria. I'm not sure I understand why some states are in 2 and some are in 1. So it's the same exchange rate that we use. You understand? If you're in Ekiti and you want to buy dollars, is the rate different? Are the rates different? So I still believe that there's a lot that needs to be discussed. Enforcement for me needs to be looked at. I'm not sure that we're there. I'm not sure that the branches actually have the capacity and capability to honestly monitor this. Let's be careful. I understand that other states are doing. I think what we should do is to actually go back to headquarters and sector and tell them, let's have a uniform implementation enforcement policy. Let the policy be universal. Why should you be passing? Our resolutions and protocols, are they law? So you're asking you to pass a resolution. What does that mean? Is that the law? So honestly, the issues I think we should not shy away from. I'm not saying the order is bad. What I'm saying is that the implementation and enforcement needs to be revisited and revisited properly. I don't think where we are, anything can be done. You can have your meetings, you can have your portal. And honestly, there's also one more point that needs to be stressed. We're not talking about the tenancy or the third party. It's actually MBA charging administrative fees, and it is being charged in other states. So let us be honest with ourselves. They're charging 1% of transactions in other states, branches rather, of MBA. So those are the issues we're talking about. But I understand that Mr. Shillings would like to add 1 or 2 things. And please, excuse me, sir. Sorry, sir. And the MBA chair, the second vice president also would like to say 1 or 2 things. Please, can you just allow them to speak? Okay, they said that we need to take pictures because Mr. Abimbola has to leave. He has to leave, unfortunately. So please, if you don't mind, just give us 1 minute to take pictures with him. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So the first set of pictures will be with faculty. All branch chairmen here present, please join the picture. Branch chairman. No, we are part of faculty. Representative from the AG's office, the CJ's office, could you please join us, please? Thank you very much. Okay. I was just corrected that panelists alone should have their picture. Panelists alone. Panelists alone. Panelists alone. Yes, that's the faculty at the keynote speaker.
So we'll just take your questions, 2 or 3 questions. I think you wanted to ask a question. Madam. Sorry, just give us 2 minutes. Our second vice president has a question to ask.
Thank you. It's not really a question, it's just a contribution. And if you see the slogan from the legal practitioner remuneration order, it said, let's make it a culture, not a campaign. Every lawyer, every branch, every brief enforce the order. When branches in Lagos, when they sneeze, the whole branches in the whole federation, they will catch cold. I want to assure you, like we've just been told the genesis of this remuneration order, that it started from Lagos. So National is even looking upward to us to bring this solution. So whatever we have discussed, whatever we arrived in, I can assure you that it's going to have impacts in all other branches. So we should not look forward that the National is going to provide solution to the problems. We are expected Lagos, I mean the branches in Lagos, because that is where we have the big, you can see the caliber of people that we have here. So whatever they say, and you can see that even okay, it's from Oyo, the chairman. So the National is looking forward to what we are going to come up with. So the solution is with us. And I'm so surprised when I was looking at the number of branches that have complied. I was so surprised, and I had the opportunity of speaking to one of the branch chairmen, and he said this thing has made lawyers to be rich. There are so many lawyers. So all these stories that they say people are saying is true. If you had had course or you have friends in other branches who have complied with this remuneration order, you see that they are more buoyant now. So whatever we are going to do to support it, please let us support it. It is the betterment of us. Let us not look at the other ones. Any other problem that we have, we can bring solution to it. Thank you.
Thank you, ma. I stand on the existing protocol, and I appreciate what the faculty has been able to do to issue at stake. But my contribution is that I want us to look at it from this angle, that the fraction of lawyers that have issues with the implementation of this remuneration order are quite minimal compared to those that are suffering from the ability to enforce proper rules. My learned sake, Yemi Akongbe work in a structured law firm where charges are not contested when clients walk into those office. Quite a lot of other lawyers that are here present might not have that capacity to charge their client directly. They walk away from their office. And I think that the whole essence of this is to help the upcoming generation of lawyers that are still not there. And if I was in Benin over the weekend for the NEC meeting. I met the chairman of Efurun branch. They have implemented it. He was calling lawyers from their jurisdiction, and all of them are in support of this. They made it work over there. All that we should have looked at is possibility of working around those issues that are constituting challenges, rather than just throw the baby and the water away. My second concern is that it is not the first time in NBA that when something novel is coming up, there will be issues against it. There was a time in this bar life in Nigeria here that when you want to pay your practicing fee, you take cash to the bank to pay across counter. No charges is deducted from our account. But now that we pay through those floater waves and other platform, they charge us directly and we don't have issue with it. When it was initially introduced, a lot of people contended against it, but later it became part of our life and we don't have any issue with it. When the seal regime came, that you have to put a seal of the NBA to authenticate your document, some people revolted against it at the initial beginning, but now it's a part of our life. So don't let us look at this as a problem that is unsurmountable. Let our faculty and other stakeholders, especially those A-list law firms, that find it extremely difficult to disclose the identity of their client, help us to find a way around it and say we can do it in this manner.
So, my friend, Mr. Badino, my good friend. But the question for me to you is this: Do you create injustice in a bid to cure one injustice? We are talking here. We're talking here. Number one about breach of confidentiality. We're talking about the workability of that thing, subjecting people to do this and do that. Let me tell you something. As a matter of fact, for me, this remuneration order, even it sort of it works more. It demarcates me in a way. Let me tell you why. Let's say, for instance, it says litigation is 3 million naira minimum. If I charge my client 30 million naira, he already knows the scale. He can tell me that, why are you charging 30 million? They already said 3 million is the minimum for SANs. He can go and meet a lawyer that will charge him 5 million, 7 million. SAN that will charge 5, 7, 10 million. Even demarcates me. So maybe you can exclude. If you say A-list law firm, then exclude them from application. They don't undercharge anyway. So you can exclude them from the application.
Okay, hello. Please. Let's calm down. Oh yeah, let them. One house, please. I want to say something. You see, the beauty of a town meeting is what we are having here. And when we are growing up, do you see that if there is a family meeting, and when everybody comes out of the family meeting laughing, that means we are deceiving ourselves. You cannot take away the fact that some of the things that Mr. Akinboro is saying is correct, and also the general belief and the interest of majority of us is also very important. Now, let me tell you one thing. Yes, I believe strongly in this Subdivision Act, but I can tell you as a fact that for me, it may not be of any use. That's the truth. But for the majority of us, it is highly relevant, and that's why I concede to it and I support it. What we need to do, we focus more on seeing problem than seeing solution. The first thing I try to train my mind to do is because when a client comes to you, they are not coming to you for solidarity of problem. They are coming to you to come and find solution. Why we are here today is to find solution to all the areas of the problem. And we are going to do that one way or the other to find solution to it. The issue that is talking about, one, when you put it there and say, when you say 3 million maximum senior advocate, minimum senior advocate, it's also a negotiating tool. That tells us that maybe when we are tinkering with this document, we need to bear some things in mind, so to reflect on. So let's keep opening up all these issues so that we keep building on the house. I don't agree that we should not start implementation. We should implement and keep talking about it, keep refining it till we get to where we are going to. The conversation must continue. We cannot get there in one day. That's when I asked the question, when I asked that, what was the idea behind it? The idea behind it is not going to be because of me, personally, because I know that, but the idea behind it may be because of my daughter, who is the future of legal profession. I'm already, if I'm in civil service now, I'm sure that last week they would have retired me. So, I understand why we all feel the way we feel. Please, let us understand each other. Let's look for practical solution. There are problems, definitely. There are problems. The issue of confidentiality is very, very important. The issue of data protection and the rest of it. Let's keep finding solution to it. And I don't agree also that Lagos should not go on with their implementation. I want you to do something. Create a standard that others will follow. Because they are doing it in a way that maybe we don't agree with. We should show example in Lagos by doing it in a better way. So when we do it in a better way, we cannot take it to neck and say, look at what we are doing in Lagos. Look at what we are doing in Ibadan. And you just said that Lagos, they carry, oh no, now we don't carry last. So keep setting the pace. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I've been thinking and racking my brain over this order. I think we should bear in mind who we are, first of all. We are professionals who decided to come together to be regulated. And the regulators brought on orders and laws that should guide our practice. So what are we doing about we ourselves? If we are told that the minimum charge going by the law is X amount, why should I say that I'm going to go below that charge? The only reason why all these debate has come up is because of integrity. It's because of our commitment to the profession. And it's because we should check ourselves and find out if there is oneness, really. Now, when you were going to come up with this idea, I'm not sure you checked other jurisdictions. I think what you should have done first was to look at how do the Law Society handle such matters.
what's happening in Kenya, what's happening in the, well, I won't say the United States because they're a bit far, but at least let's look at the Commonwealth. That is where you start from. Now, if you look at all these places, they still respect individuality. They respect the fact that you are running your firm and I'm running my firm. So they came together and decided that, okay, in running different firms, we have medium-sized firms, we have small firms, and we have large firms that do matters with corporations and all that. But in order to create a kind of level playing field because of these smaller firms, and to ensure everybody earns income, they came up with all this order. But to now go ahead, that's where my problem is really. To now go ahead and say, oh, MBA must ensure that I do something and I'm paying something to it. It defeats the purpose. So we have to be very careful. Check out jurisdictions, see what operates, see how you can handle this issue without detracting from the fact that I'm running my business, I've put capital in my business, I want to make profit, I know my level, I know the level where I operate. I think that's where I have my own challenges, and good idea to help the upcoming. But is it going to be across board? So there's so many areas that you have to go back and check. Excuse me, thank you.
The Dean and the distinguished colleagues, I think I must come back to the issue of this necessity thing I mentioned. I came up with this issue of necessity given the fact that when you attend MBA meeting, look at the kind of cars we have. You'll know the kind of poverty that is bedeviling the legal profession. The best of cars, you won't find them in MBA meetings, even by senior advocates. So it means that there is a problem that we need to resolve. Okay. Now, when you are talking about band A, band B, band C, even in this band A, my own Ikorodu is still a staggered C. Somehow, we are not on the same level. I'm not in the same class as somebody who is practicing in Central Lagos. Look at Ikorodu. Those of you who are in Lagos, how many senior advocates do you see there? Is it that we don't go to courts? It is not because very many of them cannot even afford going to court of appeal. And for me that has spent 25 years in practice, when you say the minimum charge, the minimum charge is 700, do you think I will leave if I charge 700 for cases? I'm also demarketed, just as you are demarketed as a senior advocate. As a medium advocate, I'm also demarketed by that standard that is set. So we should all look at a way to find a solution. I was involved in 2 property transactions very recently. If you look at the documents they bring, if you are doing it in Ikeja, you say, I'm going to do search. There was nothing to search because the document was nothing. You are starting from zero. And you are persuading this, you are telling this man, you are going to pay 10%. Okay. 10% for what? Nothing on ground, nothing to start with. You want to start with 10%. And then after he does that document, you say another 10% to go to, you are already not in the market. Honestly, because we have to look at the sociological peculiarity of the different jurisdictions. So, but if we let our weapon not now become our problem. The fact that we know the law, you are talking about confidentiality. If this portal you are talking about is not about, we are talking about that woman who held the microphone. We are discussing machine. If you are talking about confidentiality, then your client should not pay to banks because they have the figures. No? Sir? as an administration. So if we cannot open to our own colleagues, why should you not? Then how do we no, every problem we must look at a solution. There's no shared bad without labor. There must be some giving in somehow. So if we don't give in, then we'll leave everybody to go and suffer just onto your tent, oh Israel. But going to that tent, at the end of the day, you will continue to suffer. That's it. But I have a problem with this even portal thing. Now, somebody wants to do agreement now. You are talking about paying to one portal, removing an interest, something. Just like even to get permanent seat number, since we've been doing it. Sometimes you may be there for 2 weeks, 1 month. Huh? So where are we going? Unless we can assure that it will work well.
I think I want to say 1 or 2 things to round up this discussion. Just 2 minutes, please. The first thing I want to say is this. This portal. Sorry, our portal. I'm sorry. This is our portal. If there's any problem, I want the chairman to take note. Who responds immediately? Who responds is very important. Because my money has been paid. I want to assure you that I'm in support 100% of this portal. I've talked about that. It's for us to protect our interests. But no, so please, that has to be looked into carefully. If there's an issue, money is not released immediately, who do you talk to? Are you going to be talking to the portal? So that's number 1. Number 2, faculty chair. I want to address the chairman. I think it's very important for us to have the list of lawyers practicing in branches, either personally or through the... No, I want to say something. You are compiling one. But please, get through with the branches. You are using them. Okay, so I think it's because that's where we are starting from. Thank you.
I think we have a list of lawyers now.
So I just want to add that for the big wigs, for the learned silks, the big wigs with the big box, I think the issue of disclosing their fees that they collect can be handled by maintaining the minimum charge, by paying that. You know, what I'm trying to say is this. You charge, for example, 50 million naira for litigation. The fee structure says you pay minimum of 3 million naira. You can collect your fee from the client, then you pay the minimum as to get your compliance certificate. Yes. So, okay. Sir? Exemption, no. If you give exemption, how do you determine who should be exempted?
But so, isn't there supposed to be that negates transparency? This is not what we're trying to do, that there should be transparency. Now you're now talking about the fact that people should under-declare. It can't work now. What are you saying?
What the remuneration order seeks to attain is that lawyers charge the minimum fee. You can't go below, and that's what I'm trying to say. If there's evidence that you have charged the minimum fee, you should qualify for a compliance certificate. No, it's not. The misconduct is when you charge below.
I think we need to round up now. We've done. I'm quite sure you will agree with me that my faculty has done a fantastic job this afternoon. So can you please give my faculty members a round of applause?
Thank you very much, our distinguished faculty. Okay, you wanted to say something? Okay, you will, but let me discharge the faculty. You want to address the faculty? The final person, please.
Thank you very much for obliging me. We are here today as a town hall. We know we have different realities. And what we basically set out to do is, number one, there's a reality that the remuneration order is already statutorily in place. Sorry, sir. I'm sorry. We are not the ones that enacted it or passed it as law. Yes, we are trustees of our people. Just yesterday or 2 days ago, a member of a branch in Lagos, let me not call the branch, fainted here in this high court here. And by the time we rushed, he hadn't eaten. He didn't have money to eat. He was a member of our branch that paid. Were you the one that paid? This was the person that paid. Our realities are different, but our members are very, very impoverished. So what we are here to do is innovative solutions. The fact that you are in an office and it works for you is not the issue here. We want ideas that can make us move forward and surmount a situation where we are being judged. Surveyors have done it. In the land, some people employ lawyers and they collect legal fees. Property companies, they collect legal fees, charge it, and pay lawyer salary, 100,000 naira. How do we get over that? Our members go to the sell their seal. They go to the land registry. They leave their seals there and sell it for 2,500 to the people in the land, to touts. So those are the real issues. How do we enforcement? So and we are Lagos. It was Lagos that started front loading. It was from the Lagos High Court. The Lagos High Court, other states started adopting it. So why can't we even set a template that will work all over the country? So I thought that this faculty, you know, support us, share your views, give us innovative ideas, so that we can because it's already a law, and I wasn't the one. I wasn't even there when they passed it. So we are just trustees of a process that has been put in place, and the general idea is how do we get our members benefit from the kind of work they do. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chair Ikeja branch. So I will just round off so that we can take the closing remarks. I will not bore us with a lot of things because there's a summary that will be made by one of the coordinators of the Joint Technical Committee in Lagos State, which is Mr. Olajide Abiodun. But before then, there were some issues that were raised by faculty, and I think it's pertinent that we realign ourselves so that we can focus on where we are going to. I recognize that the journey towards strengthening our compliance framework requires a level of clarity, collaboration, and the courage to insist on what is right. And if there's anything I've been able to take away from this meeting today is that what is right belongs to both sides of the divide. So on this side, there are certain things, they have made a lot of points that we as joint members of the Remuneration Committee and as chairman in Lagos State, we have to go back and do further work. We look into it as we're improving to, you know, have a collective system of implementation in Lagos State. But I need us to know something. The issue of remuneration, of uniformity of all branches in Nigeria is not the scope of Lagos State. It's not within our purview. The purview of the text from national is that branches should go and figure out a way that this implementation can work for them. The only difference is that in Lagos State, we have decided to come together as Lagos State branches. We do not have powers to decide what's happening in Edo, what's happening in Benin. But while we are waiting for national to come up with something that is workable for all the branches in Nigeria, we cannot afford to wait. We need to be doing something while they are doing something. We need to be doing something. Because the truth is just like my brother Chair Ikeja branch has just mentioned. He just painted a very pathetic scenario, but it also applies to my branch. At some point, what we did was to create a welfare pool. It's not so much money, but we try to encourage our members that if you come to court and you don't have transport fare to go back, it is actually that basic for us. and you cannot go back. Please, don't take 3,000 naira as a parent's fee anymore. It is further impoverishing you as a lawyer. Just go to the welfare pool, and it's headed by one of the welfare committee and monitored by one of our past chairmen. Ask for a loan. Initially, we intended that it should be free, but the executive committee decided that we'll run into a problem because everybody will see it as national cake, and then we will not be able to sustain it. But take it within a reasonable time, without collateral. Just tell us we'll be able to return it around this time. We started looking for ways because you have no idea of how many people will call you and tell you, buy me food. And we are professionals. People actually think that we are well remunerated because we have some dresses that we have bought some years ago and they were trying to package. But in reality, a lot of lawyers in some jurisdictions are not well remunerated. So the reason why we are here today is to chart the solution. I know that there will be problems. Even before we started, within ourselves, we highlighted some of the problems. It's knowing the problem that we begin to find solutions for these gray areas. We don't have the absolute solution. And some of these solutions will still have to lie with national. But in the meantime, before they get it right, or before the legal professional as a whole body gets it right, we have to do something. So please, I appeal to everyone here. If you know that there is an area you think we should look, provide solutions. Don't just tell us that this is a problem. Because I am a drowning man. I am drowning, and I managed to find a rope to hold on to from drowning. You ask me to leave it. Give me a boat. In fact, give me a canoe. Something that I can survive on. Because if I'm not surviving, I'm not listening to you. The only thing I'm listening to is, how do I survive? So I am going to appeal to you and appeal to all the stakeholders here. We are not interested in further dividing ourselves. We have enough issues that have divided us as legal practitioners. When we want to disagree, let us disagree for our own benefits. I personally said earlier, I sent a letter to some part of the society, especially the secretary of the body of senior advocates of Nigeria. Yes, I asked for their input. Now, on this portal, you might not have known that we have interfaces, which I explained earlier. There is an interface that tells us, because it's in the course of all these investigations and feedbacks that we are getting. If I am a lawyer and I buy a property, and I need to register my property as a legal practitioner, am I going to pay? I'm not going to pay myself. Oh. So what did we agree with? The front page and an affidavit. There's an upload portal. That is another kind of compliance certificate. Please, let the privileged people in society come up with something that can work. The reason we are insisting on a portal is because we can't do this manually. And that's the truth. We are still huge enough people to begin to think of, manual will expose more to people because you have to interface. I beg your pardon. You have to interface with a dedicated secretariat, a faculty. So please, I appeal. We have taken notes of some of the areas that you want us to work on. We will continue to work on those areas. And we will also reach out to you too. Please, within the next 1 month, also send us all the suggestions or the ways that you think we can do it better. We are willing to listen. All we need to achieve is survival and to ensure that lawyers are well remunerated. On this note, I would like to sincerely thank our faculty for a job well done. I thank our faculty chair, Mrs. Folashade Alli. I thank Mr. Yemi Akongbe, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Aare Akinboro, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Aare Olumuyiwa Akinboro, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Olubunmi. We thank you very much, and we thank Mr. Olusegun Fabunmi. We thank Mr. SAN. Don't worry. Somebody is coming to do the vote of thanks. Don't worry. We thank Mr. SOK Shillings and my brother, Mr. Babajide Ojo Vincent. So thank you very much on behalf of all the branches in Lagos State. I now call on the Vice Chairman of Ikorodu branch. That's one of the coordinators of the Joint Remuneration Portal to please just do an overview, and then we do a vote of thanks, and we end this today. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. I don't know what my chairman wants me to say now. All right. The Dean, the faculty, respected discussants, the learned 6 here present, Mr. Yemi Akongbe, Mr. Akinboro SAN, and Mr. Fabunmi SAN, then SOK Shillings, that's Ancient Advocate of Nigeria, Then while Mr. Babajide, thank you. Then distinguished colleagues, I'll be very quick. Distinguished seniors, friends, colleagues, I greet you all. From all that has been said, and I stand to be corrected, or correct me if I'm wrong, the remuneration order is here to stay. Even the order that has been passed by the National Assembly, by the necessary authorities signed by the Attorney General of the Federation, still has issues that are being challenged. And that is where we find the state bands, band 1, band 2, band 3. We would like to quickly state that the state bands applies to litigations, legal advices, and the rest. But with respect to mortgage conveyancing, we all have a uniform fee that must be charged minimally across all states of the Federation. That one does not have a band. The portal itself that has been introduced to us here is not the issue. We have agreed that technology, verification, and digital compliance are necessary and commendable. Now, the real challenge lies in the charges associated with the portal and how those charges are proposed to be imposed. You would all agree with me that each of us have a branch website. Is there any law backing up the creation of our branch websites? There are charges, and there are people maintaining that website. Do we have any law that is backing up those charges? But I know there is one thing that is backing it up, and that is the resolution of all branches with respect to creation of individual websites, where all branches within the Lagos MBA can agree to have this portal stand. I'm very sure, being a pilot scheme, it is going to stand. And it is just the beginning, and we are going to improve on it. We must also observe that the administrative charges should not be tied to clients' transactions, because our clients does not have any business with the charges we are putting on the portal. The remuneration order does not encourage branches to open a portal or impose fees. And that is why the MBA National has not given us a mandate that go and do this compulsorily by giving us what we should do. They have given us a lenient position to come together and come up with what works best for each branch. And we should not take that opportunity for granted. Because if they decide to take it the other way around, we'll have no option but to deal with the directives of NEC. Now, in conclusion, the issues that have clearly been outlined and which we are going to look into are that the appearance that MBA branches are indirectly sharing lawyers' fees with banks due to bank charges on branch-controlled accounts will be seriously looked into. The collection of administration fees not expressly authorized by the remuneration order will be looked into. We can come up with an alternative that each branch comes up with a resolution on how to go about the maintenance of the portal. Just a suggestion. Then the possible illegality of routing clients' payments through the MBA branch accounts will also be looked into. Then the risk of violating lawyer-client confidentiality and fiduciary principles will be looked into. Then potential breach of antitrust and consumer protection laws, perception of lack of transparency and accountability in the fee collection process, then ethical concerns about interfering with how lawyers receive their professional fees, then dangers of administrative overreach if access to seals or documents is linked to payments into branch accounts, then the misinterpretation by the public that the branch benefits from lawyers' fees, then finally the risk that the system may contradict the Legal Practitioners Act and rules of professional conduct. We also quickly want to chip in as a point of information to everyone that starting from next year, I think Mr. Yemi Akongbesian can bear me witness. In Lagos State, I don't know, generally in Lagos State, I think Lagos State intends to start charging all law firms taxes. And any law firm that does not comply, they will give a BOJ. If you contest the BOJ, it's in their laws. They will get an order of court that you submit your firm's account to be scrutinized, where you think the charges they have imposed on you. And by doing that, if you fail to submit your client's account, we all know where we are going to. So if that can happen, and if we can also have the Anti-Money Laundering Act to regulating lawyers, I think we should start from somewhere. We are not asking too much, because whatever we permit today increases, and whatever we start today will speak for us and for our kids and future leaders coming on tomorrow. Now, as we take a final bow, all branches must therefore proceed with caution, supporting the compliance, protecting members, and avoiding any model that compromises legal ethics as the portal begins to operate. Thank you very much.
Vote of thanks, please.
Good afternoon, all. Permit me to make a comment before we round up finally. We've heard all the presentations that have been made. We've heard the arguments for implementation of the remuneration order. But above all of this, I'm aligned with my co-chairs from Lagos branch, but I want to say something to each and every one of us sitting in this room. Personally, I'm not one for victim's mentality or waiting for a Messiah to come and save. Can you ask yourself, as a legal practitioner, what am I doing to ensure that I am paid what I am supposed to be paid? And I'm asking this question because of what my sister chair said about people who are charging 3,000 naira for appearance fee. It's an abomination. You can't even be charging 20, 30,000 naira for appearance fee in this age. How much is Uber? When you take Uber from your house to court, how much will you pay? Or you want to charge it at bus rates? You have to ask yourself some of these questions. When you're charging time, which is what we are selling, our time, which is what we are selling, our time, our intellect, we can't be waiting for remuneration order to come and save us. Yes, it's going to happen. We are going to do it. But what are you doing? Do you know when it's going to be implemented? Do you know when it's going to be implemented? What if it takes 3 years to be implemented? You'll be charging 30,000 for appearance fee? It's not right. You want to charge bus rate, Okada rate? It's not right. Or you charge the cost that you use to fill up your car? Appearance fee is for logistics. Check it. How much will it take you to go to court? Now, I'll further say, you call an artisan, AC repairer to come to your house. What will they will tell you is a fixed call out rate. They will charge you 20K. Your laptop, your phone is bad. You call somebody to come to your office to fix it. They will charge you a fixed 50,000 naira call out fee. Then you, a lawyer, you are afraid to charge. You're waiting for the bar to come and put in regulations before you're able to charge. My dear sisters and brothers, distinguished colleagues, we are going to do what we need to do to implement this order. But please, everybody should wake up. Wake up. Because we are destroying this profession. You cannot be charging anyhow. Even to sew your clothes. Women, men, Ashwebi, how much do you sew? Ask yourself those questions. Then you're a lawyer. You went to school 5 years, law school. You can't charge. I'm very passionate about this, but I'll leave it at that. And I'll use the opportunity to give the vote of thanks. We are going to continue working, but beyond what we are doing, please look inwards. Look inwards. and charge appropriately. Go and study this order if you have not studied it. If you don't know what to charge, go and study it and get guidance on what to charge. What if this thing doesn't happen in 3 years? You continue collecting peanuts? Having said that, thank you very much, esteemed faculty. Thank you very much, members of all the branches that have taken out their time to come for this town hall. We are going to have more talking. And when you come with those questions. And don't just come with the questions. Come with practical solutions. I believe my sister chair has already said that we'll put out memoranda for you guys to advise us on some of the things. You have heard us. What can we do differently? What can we do to make it work? So, thank you very much. I pray God to take each and every one of us back to our various destinations. And I hope that we'll continue to come out and participate when we call you for issues like this. Thank you very much. And thank you to all my chairs. Despite everything, we have made progress and we'll continue to make progress. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And with this, we come to the end of today's session. Before we do that, in absentia, I would also like to appreciate Mr. Tobenna Erojikwe, who happens to be one of our consultants. Yes, most of the back-end information and, how to go about most of these things has been really helpful. But unfortunately, we are unable to implement everything because of our system. And then the faculty has said we should go to other jurisdictions. When I'm well remunerated, I will travel to other jurisdictions. I will travel to other jurisdictions to find out how they are doing their own. So thank you very much. Once again, let me just announce to you the next town hall meeting we hold on the 3rd of January 2026. And the venue is Law School, Lagos Law School, 3rd. 3rd, yes. My chair, Lagos. Chair, Lagos, 3rd of January. 14th of January. 14th of January. Thank you all very much for your time and thank you for making it. We hope to see most of you at the next town hall meeting as we continue to develop. But please don't forget, send in your suggestions, send in ways you think we can improve on the portal within a month because this thing is a work in progress which we intend to run a test run phase in January. So please send in your reports, your comments, your suggestions on time. Thank you very much.
All ESCOs from all branches should please come here. All the executive members of branches of MBA here present. Lagos, Ikeja, Ikorodu, Ekpe, Badagry, Surulere, kindly come to the podium. All executive members of MBA, come to the podium, please.